Chapter 1089. Jing Qinyang frowned and asked, "Did Yin treat his wounds?" "I think so." Zui Yanbai didn't think that the people who took Su Yiyan away would be so kind as to treat Gu Xiaoyang's wounds after the car accident. The only possibility was that Su Yiyan had used some unknown method to get those people to help stop Gu Xiaoyang's bleeding before she left, saving his life. Yu Xian's eyes lit up and he said excitedly, "Does this mean that for some unknown reason, those people didn't dare to do anything to young madam? They were even threatened by young madam and had no choice but to save Xiaoyang. So young madam and young master are still safe for now?" Zui Yanbai frowned, but he wasn't as optimistic as Yu Xian. "Not necessarily. Maybe they did it before young madam was taken away and they didn't notice. It's such a broken car and such a big person. The people who took Yin and the child away aren't blind. How could they not see it? If it were you, would you let the kidnapper live for no reason and then identify yourself? Yin must have done something to save his life. Yin and the child must be fine now." A slightly abrupt voice suddenly came from behind them. Although the tone of the voice was stern, it couldn't hide the worry and anxiety in it. They didn't know if the words were meant for them or for themselves. Huo Chenhuan looked at the person and called out in a low voice, "Brother." Huo Chenhuan didn't dare to tell the two elders about Su Yiyan because she was afraid that they would be agitated. She only told Su Yuxuan. Su Yuxuan snorted coldly and didn't look at him kindly. "Two big people disappeared just like that. Is this how you protect them?" Huo Chenhuan didn't speak with a sullen face. Zheng Qianyang couldn't bear to see his nephew being criticized at this time. He sighed and acted as a peacemaker. "We'll talk about this later. The most important thing now is to find them as soon as possible. I've already sent people to catch the two groups of people who had a conflict with Yin before Yin disappeared. These two groups of people chased after Yin and the child before they disappeared. Even if they didn't take Yin away, they still have something to do with this." Coincidentally, as soon as Zheng Qianyang finished speaking, the people he sent out called him. Zheng Qianyang picked up the phone and his eyes lit up. He looked up at the anxious people present and said excitedly, "They're caught. They're caught." Huo Chenhuan and the others were like ants on a hot pan. They were so anxious that they wanted to find her as soon as possible. The person they were worried about was being brought to a small, remote villa by Liu. This small villa looked a bit old and shabby from the outside. Vines entangled with moss clung to a large area of the outer wall. There were also a lot of weeds growing outside the courtyard. From afar, one would think that this was a rundown house that no one lived in and didn't regularly repair. But after entering the house, one would find that most of the things in the house were in good condition. There was basically no dust or stains to be seen. It wasn't clear if someone had lived here before and cleaned it regularly, or if it was specially cleaned because someone was coming. Liu put Su Yiyan and her child in the living room and asked someone to watch over them. Then she went to the backyard. Not long after, Su Yiyan heard the familiar sound of a wheelchair being pushed. Su Yiyan frowned slightly. She shifted her gaze from the sleeping child in her arms to the source of the sound. But when she saw Do Tianyi and the familiar figure behind him, her eyes widened in surprise. Chapter 1090. Do Tianyi had changed a lot since the last time they met. His face, which was already pale, was now devoid of color. He didn't look like a human, but more like a fake white sculpture in an exhibition hall. His cheeks, which were already thin to begin with, were now sunken in. He looked like a skeleton with human skin stuck on it. It was inexplicably horrifying. However, what surprised Su Yiyan the most was not this, but the person behind Do Tianyi. This was the first time Su Yiyan saw Wen Jingping after more than a year. Before this, she had only seen this person's figure in the mouths of others or in those strange peach news. Compared to the last time they met, Wen Jingping was much more haggard, and her spirit seemed to be a little absent-minded. When she wheeled Do Tianyi over from afar, her eyes were blank and she looked like a soulless puppet. However, when she saw Su Yiyan, she was stunned. Her originally lifeless eyes suddenly changed, and her face twisted for a moment. Su Yiyan saw the change in her expression. Her eyes were slightly cold and her heart trembled. When did these two fellows get together again? Before this, the person who was sent to keep an eye on Wen Jingping had just returned with news that Ding Juesi had gone to look for Wen Jingping and tried to force himself on her. What's done can't be undone, and the two of them had fallen out on the spot. How long had it been? Wen Jingping actually got together with Do Tianyi again. Moreover, wasn't Do Tianyi hospitalized because of his illness? How come now? Could it be that after doing so much she still couldn't stop the two of them from going down the same path? Nothing had changed? No matter how many things happened in between, The world's female lead would eventually be together with the world's male lead, and those unimportant cannon fodder and supporting roles would eventually become stepping stones on their path to success. They would never be able to escape the fate of the past. When she thought of this, Su Yiyan felt the blood in her body freeze. It was so cold that she wanted to shiver on the spot. System, what's going on? How did the two of them get together again? Wasn't Do Channy's condition deteriorating to the point that he was on the verge of death? How did he get out of the hospital? Also, I haven't settled the score with you just now. I was just giving you directions, but you still pointed me to the male and female leads. If it weren't for the fact that you've really helped me a lot in the past 2 years, I would have suspected that you're a spy arranged by the world's consciousness. After being scolded by Su Yiyan, the system was silent for a long time before it replied in a slightly aggrieved manner. The system is not a spy. The reason why it pointed the way here is because at that time, if you really had to choose between the two teams, choose the world's male protagonist's side, the host and the baby might still have a chance to survive. Su Yiyan's heart trembled. He thought of the group of people who were constantly shooting at them from behind. He had to admit that the system's words were not without reason. Based on their situation at that time, if they had bumped into Do Tiany's men, they still had a chance to survive. If they had really been surrounded by the group behind them, she and her child would have been dead by now. As for why the world's male lead was able to get out of the hospital when he was seriously ill, from the results of the scan, the world's male lead's body does have traces of the system's item being used. Su Yiyan was stunned for a few seconds before she reacted to the meaning of the system's words. Her expression changed. You mean the reason why his condition improved was because Wen Jingping used the system's item on him? Wen Jingping's body really has a system. Chapter 1091. Based on the data from the scan, that seems to be the case. Su Yiyan's eyes narrowed dangerously. Did it discover you? I don't think so. Su Yiyan raised an eyebrow. I don't think so? The tools that Wen Jingping used on Do Channy are low-level tools in all aspects. The traces are more obvious. Su Yiyan narrowed her eyes. So, you're just guessing. You're not sure if there's another system on her? Yes. What about it? Can it sense your presence? Don't worry about that. The system has its own high-end shielding function. As long as the host doesn't activate the permissions, Wen Jingping's system will definitely not discover the existence of the system. When 001 talked about this, he was a little proud of himself, just like a little kid who was asking for praise from his parents. Su Yiyan wasn't as optimistic as 001. She immediately grasped the main point of this topic. In other words, you can't do anything to it and it can't do anything to you. Theoretically speaking, that's right. However, the system on the female lead should be an advanced system. The female lead's protagonist aura has already been snatched away by the host. The system on the female lead can't be upgraded. Relatively speaking, it's definitely weaker than the current system. Weaker than you? Su Yiyan raised the corners of her eyes. She looked at Wen Jingping with a hint of playfulness. Wen Jingping instinctively felt a chill run down her spine. Since it's weaker than you, then do you have the confidence to swallow it? System? Was it really that cruel? Although it was shocked, the system seriously considered Su Yiyan's suggestion. Theoretically speaking, it's possible, but you don't have enough points. If you want to swallow a system with similar characteristics as yourself, you'll need a lot of favorability points. Currently, you're about 1/3 away. 1/3. Su Yiyan was shocked. Ever since Hu Chenhuan had completely recovered, the favorability points she earned from her live streams were mostly used to unlock skills in exchange for new medicinal herb seeds. She didn't spend much of it. She had accumulated almost 100 million points by now, but now she was told that she only had 2/3 of the points. She was still short of 1/3? In such a short period of time, how was she going to gather so many favorable impression points for it? Although he was complaining, Su Yiyan still seriously thought about how to solve this problem. You said that the communication signal in this place is blocked. Even if there is a communication device, the signal can't be sent out. What about the network signal? Can you connect to the internet? Generally speaking, since communication signals were blocked, there was a high chance that the network signal would be blocked as well. However, there was a special situation where there was no communication signal and no phone calls could be made, but there was still access to the internet. Su Yiyan wasn't sure if Do Channy's people would be so careless as to not take this into consideration. But as long as there was a tiny bit of hope, she wanted to take a gamble. Unexpectedly, the system didn't reply after a long period of silence like before. Instead, it replied almost instantly. Yes. Su Yiyan's eyes lit up slightly. Then can you connect a virtual camera to my livestream account and help me open the livestream room? Su Yiyan's phone had slipped off when she was escaping from the men in black. She didn't know where it had slipped to. Moreover, Do Chani had blocked the signal, so it was impossible for her to bring it in. Chapter 1092. At this point, she could only hope that the system would be a little more helpful. Host, are you going to start a live broadcast? Yes. Looking at the situation now. Host, are you not worried about exposing your identity? Su Yiyan subconsciously glanced at the two people who were about to reach her, and the emotions in her eyes were a little cold. It's not about whether I'm worried about exposing my identity. Even if I don't want to, there are people who want to force me to reveal my identity. Since that's the case, I might as well do it myself. At least I can take the initiative in my own hands. Understood. Connecting to the host's live broadcast room, please wait. When the system tried to connect to Su Yiyan's live broadcast room, Wen Jingping pushed Do Chani in front of her. Miss Su, long time no see. Do Chani's voice was very soft, but there was an inexplicable coldness in it that made people uncomfortable. Su Yiyan opened her mouth and was about to speak when she heard the system's angelic voice in her mind. Host's live broadcast room has been activated. Please take note. Host's live broadcast room has been activated. Please take note. Su Yiyan's eyes flashed, and the words that were about to come out of her mouth immediately changed. If it's possible, I really don't want to see Mr. Do. After all, I have to risk my life just to see him. Fortunately, no one died this time, but I can't say for sure the next time. The audience in Su Yiyan's live broadcast room had just entered the room when they heard this, and they were all a little confused. The host is starting a live broadcast? Another surprise attack? Fortunately, I'm quick-witted and waited 24 hours a day. Ah. But is this the host's home? Why doesn't it look like a kitchen? It's obvious that it's not a kitchen. This should be the living room. The decor looks very high-end. Sure enough, no matter how the background changes, the host's image of a rich second-generation heir is still the same. Are all of you only focused on the decor of the background? Did no one notice that the faces of the people in the live broadcast room are all exposed? As soon as this comment floated by, a short blank space suddenly appeared in the comments that were floating by in the live stream. Exposed? That's right, it was time to show his face. One had to know that Su Yiyan had streamed so many times, but he had never let anyone show their faces in his stream. Even the helpers and friends who had mistakenly entered the live broadcast room had their faces censored. Over time, everyone had gotten used to Su Yiyan's rule of not showing her face. He had thought that he would never be able to see the streamer's face in this lifetime. Who would have thought that the streamer's face would not be covered during today's live broadcast? After a short period of silence, the bullet screen in the live broadcast room began to explode. Is this the host? Streamer? Where is the streamer? Which of these two women is the host? Why do I feel that the two women in the live broadcast room look so familiar? Could it be that the host's account was hacked? Hacked account? It can't be. Is the firewall of onlookers so weak? So, is the host here or not? Let's wait here for a while. I feel like there's something wrong with the atmosphere here. Something is wrong +1, Do Chani and the others had no idea that their every move had long been clearly captured by an invisible camera. There was nowhere to hide. Su Yiyan was not worried that they would find out. Although the system would occasionally screw up, it was still quite reliable at critical moments. Long before he connected her to the live broadcast room, he had already blocked the signal on the internet. The things that were originally used to guard against her had now backfired on him. Who knew how Do Chani would feel if he found out? Chapter 1093. Do Chani could hear the sarcasm in Su Yiyan's words, but he didn't show any guilt or embarrassment on his face. To be precise, the angrier Su Yiyan was, the happier he was. If I could, I wouldn't want to meet Miss Su under such circumstances. It's clear that Miss Su is in a difficult situation. Miss Su also saw my physical condition. In order to survive, I had no choice but to invite Miss Su over in a rude way. Su Yiyan sneered. It turns out that a group of people chased my car for half an hour. During that time they shot at my car countless times. After that, they violently hit my car, causing it to be scrapped. The driver in the car was seriously injured and unconscious. They ignored my wishes and forcibly brought me here. In Mr. Do's eyes, all of this can only be considered rude. It's really an eye-opener for me. Not long ago, the audience had been noisily discussing the identities of Su Yiyan and the others, as well as whether the host was in the live broadcast room. When they heard this, they were all shocked. Chasing the car? Shooting? Seriously injured and unconscious? Forcibly bringing her here? Wasn't this kidnapping? Thinking of this, many of the audience gasped at the same time through their screens. At this moment, some of the audience also recognized Su Yiyan and Wen Jingping. Isn't the one on the left the previously popular entertainment company boss, President Su? The one on the right seems to be the mistress? Yes, I recognize her too. The woman on the right just acted in a drama not long ago. It was that lousy drama on Strawberry TV. It was axed before it finished airing and had a rushed ending. Now that you mention it, it seems to be true. It's really her. This person is too spoiled. Not only did she steal her fiancé, but she also seduced that Ding Juxi's married husband not long ago. He divorced and abandoned his wife and child. See XXX for details of the skinning post. F*CK This person was actually a food host. Don't tell me. Upstairs, stop thinking. Don't confuse this kind of spoiled brat with a streamer, okay? This person used to be a live streamer on Eater. Later, when she entered the entertainment industry, she was too arrogant. She courted death and caused trouble with the platform too much. The platform terminated her contract and directly blocked her live stream. However, you should still be able to find the footage of the previous screen recording. You can go and take a look. With her cooking skills, she's not even worthy of carrying shoes for our streamer. Don't try to scam her. Whether it was the kidnapping or the identities of the two people, they were all hot topics that could cause heated discussions. Therefore, even though they didn't get to watch the live stream that they had been longing for, the audience's discussion about this live stream continued to rise. Soon, it attracted the attention of many people. Hua Chenhuan was busy discussing with Zheng Qianyang how to identify the kidnapper and rescue Su Yiyan and her son. She should not have had time to pay attention to the outside world. However, ever since Su Yiyan's second live stream, he had set up an automatic reminder for Su Yiyan's live stream. Not long after Su Yiyan's live stream started, the familiar reminder sounded in time and attracted her attention. Hua Chenhuan didn't have time to think too much. He hurriedly opened the live stream and saw the person he had been longing for sitting in a slightly old villa hall. Opposite him were two people he couldn't be more familiar with. Chenhuan, what's wrong? Zheng Qianyang, who had been rushing out in a hurry, found that Hua Chenhuan had suddenly stopped and lagged behind. He turned to look at him in confusion. Hua Chenhuan looked away from the live stream with an extremely ugly expression. Yin and the child have been found. Chapter 1094. When Hua Chenhuan found out about the whereabouts of Su Yiyan and her child, she couldn't wait to rush to where they were and bring them back safely. At the same time, Su Yiyan was also trying her best to buy time for Hua Chenhuan and the others to rescue them. When Dou Qianni heard Su Yiyan's ridicule, the curve of his lips rose instead of falling. He only felt that Su Yiyan was now like a kitten trapped in a cage, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. If I really wanted to hurt Miss Su, I'm afraid that Miss Su wouldn't be sitting here peacefully, enjoying the meticulous care of the people around her. Enjoying? You call this enjoying? Su Yiyan almost picked up the cup on the table and threw it at someone's face. But, Su Yiyan's eyes were slightly cold. Dou Qianni didn't deny what she had just said, which meant that she had guessed correctly. The group of people who had helped them stop the trucks were Dou Qianni's men, and they were supposed to be in cahoots with them. However, those people wanted to kill her while Dou Qianni wanted her alive, so both sides had fallen out. Since we're all here, I don't want to say any more nonsense. Mr. Dou, just say it. Why did you spend so much effort to bring me here? Dou Qianni raised his eyebrows. I thought that Miss Su should know very well why she's here. Su Yiyan seemed to have heard the biggest joke in the world. You let people bring me here, but you want me to wonder why I was brought here? You're saying it as if I deserve to be brought here because I did something. Don't you think it's funny? As soon as Su Yiyan said this, before Dou Qianni could say anything, Wen Jingping, who was following behind him, could not help but widen her eyes. She looked at Su Yiyan in shock and fear, clearly not expecting Su Yiyan to dare speak to Dou Qianni in such a manner. Moreover, what made her the most depressed was that Dou Qianni did not have much of a reaction after hearing her words. He did not get angry nor did he retaliate. Instead, he seemed a little excited. Wen Jingping, who had already experienced Dou Qianni's prowess, had no doubt that if those words had come out of her mouth, she would not even be able to find her corpse. Such an obvious difference in treatment made Wen Jingping feel an indescribable discomfort in her heart. At the same time, a trace of doubt appeared in her heart. Could it be that her strategy had been wrong from the beginning? Dou Channy did not like her, who was weak and could arouse a man's desire to protect her, but liked this kind of woman who specialized in going against him? Su Yiyan did not know that the words she had deliberately said to disgust Dou Channy in her anger had caused Wen Jingping to think deeply. She was really about to explode from anger now. She could not understand why there would be people in this world who were so self-righteous and full of a sense of superiority. It was fine if they spoke to others in a high and mighty tone, but when they caused trouble or even harm to others, they would act as if they were doing them a favor, thinking that the other party should be deeply grateful to them. Dou Channy was like that, and Huo Xiaofeng was also like that. Before, Su Yiyan only felt that the brainless world's female leads were poisonous. Now, it seemed that these world's male leads were not to be outdone. It was really like a pot that matched a lid, a perfect match. At that time, thousands of miles away, Huo Xiaofeng, who had long been worn down by various circumstances and was living a poor life with a meager salary, suddenly felt an itch in his nose. He could not help but sneeze loudly, and a trace of an ominous premonition suddenly appeared in his heart. He was already so miserable, why was there still someone thinking about him? Chapter 1095. Dou Channy opened his mouth, but before he could speak, he suddenly coughed violently. Wen Jingping was shocked. She hurriedly stepped forward and wanted to reach out to pat his back to calm him down, but Liu, who had reacted first, beat her to it. Dou Channy coughed like this for about a minute. When he stopped, he looked as if he had just gone through a big battle. He slumped in the wheelchair dispiritedly. His originally pale face was stained with some blood because of the violent coughing. He looked miserable and terrible. Wen Jingping was a step ahead. She was stunned for a while before she thought of going up to Dou Channy to express her concern. However, Dou Channy, who had already recovered, pushed her away. "Miss Su, you can see that my condition has deteriorated to a very serious point. I had no choice but to use this method to bring you here. I hope that in the future, Miss Su can cooperate with the family's private doctor to treat me and relieve my pain." Dou Channy looked at her deeply and smiled faintly. "I know what you are thinking. Your grandfather has connections with the Research Institute, and Huo Chenwan's uncle has connections with the Special Operations Organization. You and your child are missing. They will definitely do whatever it takes to find you. If you are in the country, I can't guarantee that they won't find you. But what if you are abroad?" Su Yiyan's expression changed slightly. "You?" Dou Channy saw the change in her expression. He turned to look at the clock not far away. "There are still 40 minutes. Some time in the future?" Su Yiyan frowned and her heart thumped. "You want to imprison me? Haven't you thought that if someone finds out, no one will find out?" "What? You can't? Nothing is impossible." As early as the moment Su Yiyan stepped into the villa with the child, a large number of people were dispatched according to the plan. 40 minutes? What 40 minutes? I will take you abroad in another 40 minutes. Su Yiyan's eyes narrowed. The ominous premonition in his heart was finally confirmed. When Wen Jingping suddenly heard that Dou Channy was going to take Su Yiyan abroad, she was stunned for a while. When she came to her senses, her expression changed greatly. She said anxiously, "If you are going abroad, then what should I do?" Before she could finish her sentence, Dou Channy's cold gaze swept over her, causing her to swallow the rest of her words. At the same time, Wen Jingping felt a chill run down her spine and spread to her limbs and bones. These people would disguise themselves as Su Yiyan and set off from different places at different times to confuse the people who came to find Su Yiyan. The meaning of these people's existence was to stall for time. By the time Huo Chenhuan and the others realized that something was wrong, he would have already taken Su Yiyan and flown far away. Even if they wanted to find her, they wouldn't know where to find her in such a short time. Dou Channy thought that his plan was flawless, but he would never have thought that everything he had painstakingly planned would be completely destroyed by an invisible camera. She knew very well that she was going to be abandoned by Dou Channy. But why? She was clearly the winner in life with the female lead script. According to the original trajectory of the world, she and Dou Channy were destined to be together. She was clearly the only one who could alleviate his illness and keep his life. Why would this man rather choose a married woman who had given birth than her? This woman, what right did she have? Chapter 1096. Su Yiyan didn't notice the sudden change in Wen Jingping's venomous gaze. She also didn't know the twists and turns of resentment and unwillingness in Wen Jingping's heart. She looked at Dou Channy's confident appearance as if everything was under his control. She subconsciously tightened her hands and tried to remain calm. "Where do you want to take me?" Do Tianyi glanced at her and held back. You'll know when we get there. Su Yiyan chuckled. Do you really think that as long as you take me out of the country and put me under house arrest, everything will be foolproof? Do Tianyi's expression changed a little because of Su Yiyan's words. Let's not talk about the fact that the herbs I use to make the medicinal cuisine can only be obtained through specific channels, or that they can only be found in the country. Even if you can really take me out of the country without my family and a large number of search and rescue police officers, even the cleverest housewife can't cook without rice. Without the herbs, even if I want to, I can't do anything. Su Yiyan saw Do Tianyi's expression change little by little, and there was a little more satisfaction in her eyes. Let's take a step back and say that even if you can secretly transport these things from the country to the country and continue to supply them, what gives me the confidence to do so? Why do you think that I will selflessly rescue the culprit who kidnapped me and almost killed me and my family and friends? Su Yiyan stared at Do Tianyi when she said this. Her eyes were unprecedentedly cold. Aren't you afraid that if you push me too far, I will poison your food and end your short and painful life ahead of time? Do Tianyi's expression changed again when he heard her say this. Miss Su seems to have not figured out her situation. This is not up to you. Is that so? Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and the mockery in her eyes grew. What if I refuse? Are you going to kill me? Of course not. Miss Su is my honored guest. How could I bear to hurt you? Su Yiyan stared at him for a while and chuckled. Yes, you can't bear to hurt me, but you will hurt my family and the people around me. As Su Yiyan spoke, she patted the little fellow who was sleeping soundly in her arms to comfort him. Her eyes were full of heartache. The little girl was still so young. She had only accompanied her parents to celebrate her grandmother's birthday, yet she had encountered such a thing. Just because I refused to recuperate for you, you found someone to secretly instigate Cheng Fenglang and Song Yunyuan to work together to bribe the employees of my uncle's company. You forged fake evidence, slandered my uncle and my grandfather for academic fraud, and suppressed the newcomers under them to receive kickbacks. It's a pity that my grandfather has been dutifully and conscientiously doing research for most of his life. Now that he's old, he's almost been splashed with a basin of dirty water for no reason because of some people's evil intentions. That's not all. I've underestimated some people's madness before. They would even harm a child. When Su Yiyan said this, she looked up at Do Tianyi with disgust and hatred in her eyes. You got someone to hint to Huaqihan that as long as he caught my child, he could use the child to threaten me and Chenhuan to hand over the whole corporation. After that, you helped him bribe the servants in my house to help him take the child out and hand him over to Huaqihan. It would be best if he succeeded. If he failed, it would be Huaqihan who did it and it would have nothing to do with you. You were the one who planned all this and you were also the one who added fuel to the fire behind the scenes. In the end, Huaqihan and Cheng Fenglang were the ones who took the blame, while you were innocent and unharmed. Mr. Do is really calculating. Chapter 1097. Su Yiyan only found out about this recently. Hua Chenhuan only told her that the Cheng family's matter was related to Do Tianyi, but she didn't tell her that Do Tianyi was actually involved in Huaqihan's kidnapping. Unfortunately, the truth couldn't be hidden forever. Su Yiyan still learned the truth from Yu Ziyan. Su Yiyan was, of course, furious. If Do Tianyi hadn't been in the hospital and didn't have much time left, she would have killed this bastard long ago. She didn't mention it on impulse, but she knew that everything they were doing and saying now was under surveillance. There was nowhere to hide. The two things that Su Yiyan mentioned were done very secretly by Do Tianyi. Although Yu Ziyan and the others found clues, they didn't have enough evidence to prove that Do Tianyi was involved and played a key role. There was no doubt that he was guilty. There were some things that one knew that the culprit was right in front of one's eyes, but because there were no clear witnesses or evidence, one could only watch him get away with it. There was nothing one could do. However, if the person involved could admit it personally, or if he accidentally let it slip under her provocation, then things would be different. And things were indeed as Su Yiyan expected. When Do Tianyi heard her mention these things, he looked a little surprised. However, perhaps because he was in his own territory, he relaxed a little and felt that Su Yiyan was now a turtle in a jar. Everything she did was just a last-ditch effort. It seems that Miss Su already knows. Do Tianyi glanced at Su Yiyan. Yes, I asked someone to do it. I asked someone to secretly tamper with your grandfather's house and your child's matter. However, you can't blame me for this. Miss Su, I told you a long time ago that I don't like being rejected. Especially when my life is at stake. Miss Su, I'm not even 30 years old yet. For many people at this age, life is just about to begin. All their dreams are just about to be realized. Countless beautiful possibilities are waiting for them, but my life has already come to an end. I don't want to die, and I'm not willing to die like this. I just want to live. Do Channy said it pitifully, but Su Yiyan only felt sick of it. There was nothing wrong with a person wanting to live. It could even be said that wanting to live was a human's instinct. However, in order to live himself, he wantonly harmed others and even implicated innocent people to force her to submit. His actions, coupled with what he said now, was absurd, sick, selfish, and hypocritical. However, some people were moved by his words. They started sympathizing with him. After watching this for a long time, the host is. President Su is the host. The man sitting opposite the host was seriously ill and wanted the host to help treat him. The host refused due to various considerations, and in the end, she suffered from this person's revenge. The host's grandfather was originally a senior in the research institute. He was a person of virtue and prestige. In the end, he was smeared with fake evidence and almost lost his integrity because of a groundless accusation. The host's child was almost stolen? Oh my God, what kind of devil is this? I can't afford to offend him. What she says is the truth. Aren't you fans too brainless? Upstairs, I'm afraid you have late-stage cerebral palsy. Didn't you hear the host admit that he did all these bad things? How did it become the host's fault? This host's fans are of such quality. They just casually scold people? As expected, fans follow the host. I vomit. Chapter 1098. You have cerebral palsy, yet you don't allow others to refute you. Weren't you the one who scolded others for being brainless first? Are you blind or have intermittent amnesia? Do you really think the broadcast room is your home and the whole world is your mother? Don't you know that the one who provokes first is cheap? Before saying that others have no quality, please take a look at yourself first. What the hell are you? I'm dying of laughter. If you're uncultured, go and read more books. If you don't know the cause and effect, you're brainless. I'm quite curious about how big your brain capacity is. Some brainless haters who doubt the streamer's words just now, since they have doubts, go and find evidence. According to the streamer's words, I found a few news reports about the streamer's family not long ago. For details, please search the discussion area next door. Previously, when the Cheng family was in trouble, Qing Fenglang and Song Yunyuan were worried that old Master Cheng was highly respected and that the investigation department would be biased. There was no way to knock down the Qing family in one fell swoop, so they bought a lot of articles to guide public opinion. They promoted a piece of social news into a piece of explosive news and stayed on the hot topic discussion list for several days. Later, the truth of the matter was found out, and Qing Fenglang and Song Yunyuan were also arrested. Those marketing accounts that were bribed either deleted their posts or apologized, but there were still many righteous netizens who took screenshots and kept them. However, when the truth was revealed, because there were no paid posters, the popularity was far less than when it was attacked. Therefore, it didn't cause much of a splash. This was also the sorrow of the era of traffic. 3 people became a tiger. When the scolding came out, they swarmed forward, but when the truth came out, they ran faster than anyone else. Passers-by who didn't know the truth only saw the beginning and didn't understand the truth that came out in the end. They often left their impression at the beginning and thought that was the truth. Now that Su Yiyan brought up the old matter again, there were really people who ran to find out the whole story again. They even sorted it out so that more people would know the truth of the matter. It could be considered a blessing in disguise. Didn't someone say that the streamer might be a descendant of a hidden family? Now it seems that there are some differences from expectations, but the streamer's maternal grandparents are actually seniors in the research institute? Rounded up, they can be considered a scholarly family, right? No wonder the streamer handed these precious Chinese herbs to the research institute for research and cultivation as soon as she found them. It turns out that there's such a relationship. I'm so angry after reading the report. After searching, the host's grandparents developed many practical things when they were at the research institute. Many of these things were still in use and had saved many people. The host even gave those precious Chinese medicinal herbs to the research institute for research and planting free of charge, instead of selling them to the rich at a high price. Not to mention, he selflessly shared many medicinal cuisines that no one has ever heard of through live streaming. His stores are basically sold at a fair price. In the end, because he rejected the unreasonable request of a sick person, his elder, who was originally a virtuous cultivator, was almost slandered and had to bear a groundless name. Now she was being kidnapped along with her child. Just thinking about it made her feel suffocated. Oh my God, did someone call the police? This man is so crazy, who knows what he'll do to the streamer and the baby. I reported it a long time ago. They said that they're already looking for him. However, the man just now seemed to say that he wanted to take the streamer out of the country. I'm a little worried that I might not be able to save the streamer in time. After the audience in Su Yiyan's live broadcast room found out about Do Tiany's actions, they began to worry about the safety of Su Yiyan and her child. Chapter 1099. As for the matter of Hua Qihan stealing the child that Su Yiyan mentioned, this matter had always been kept a secret from the public because they needed to use Hua Qihan to find the culprits who killed Hua Chenwan's parents. However, based on the current situation, this group of people had clearly found a new partner and were desperate enough to make a move on her and the child. Hua Qihan's side had probably come to an end and there was no need to continue hiding it. Su Yiyan's fans had not previously associated the streamer with the entertainment company's CEO, who had once caused a stir on the internet. Naturally, they did not pay much attention to Su Yiyan's family Hua. Now that he knew about it, he could turn those old memories upside down in a matter of minutes. How blind was the scumbag? He did not want their beautiful, gentle, virtuous, and culinary treasure like their streamer. Why did he have to pick up garbage in the green tea bucket? What? After the streamer tore apart the scumbag's mistress, she married the scumbag's uncle and became his aunt? Well done. What? The streamer from the gourmet section, who was now standing behind the kidnapper, was their streamer's love rival? To be precise, the original wife and the mistress? Hua Qihan did not have much to do with Su Yiyan in the outside world, but the title of the scumbag's father was enough to make people put on a biased view of this person. In the eyes of many people, the change of the head of the Hua Corporation was a secret of the rich and powerful, and brothers fighting for power. The scumbag's uncle was young, handsome, and loved the streamer very much. It was just that he had an accident before and his legs were disabled. However, he suddenly recovered not long after he married the streamer. It must be the streamer's credit. The audience broke out in a cold sweat for Su Yiyan while eating a big mouthful of melon with great interest. As a mother, I really can't stand such a thing. If someone dares to steal my child, I will definitely go crazy. I will risk my life to get my child back, even if I have to perish together with the other party. Don't say that this is some kind of family infighting. This is kidnapping and child stealing. Fortunately, they didn't succeed. Otherwise, they might have killed the hostage or thrown the child into some corner, making it impossible for the child to see his parents for the rest of his life. What's the difference between this and those human traffickers who steal children? If it was just this, there was nothing much to say about the winner and the loser. However, it was different when it involved stealing children. When the host was pregnant, she would occasionally broadcast live for us. It can be said that we watched the baby grow up bit by bit. This man actually encouraged others to steal the host's child just because the host refused to treat him. He's simply insane. Once the number of people increased, it naturally became a mix of good and bad. The die-hard viewers in Su Yiyan's live broadcast room all felt that Su Yiyan was right. They only criticized Do Tiany and Hua Qihan in the live broadcast room. Su Yiyan's live broadcast room was very popular, but it also attracted a lot of envy. Coupled with the unique nature of her live broadcast, it didn't take long for her to attract a lot of viewers. In addition to Su Yiyan's loyal viewers, the number of viewers in Su Yiyan's live stream had already exceeded 8 digits. Especially those mothers with children. They put themselves in Su Yiyan's shoes and were all furious. However, there were also some who had a particularly strange way of thinking. After listening to Do Tiany's pitiful story, they put the blame on Su Yiyan's head. It takes 2 hands to clap. She could have helped, but she didn't. This woman is really ruthless. I can tell that she's not a good person. She deserves to be retaliated against. Chapter 1100. Such disgusting remarks were inconceivable to many people, but there were some who were willing to go along with it. That's right. Isn't a female streamer just flirting and seducing men? Good women are all at home taking care of their husbands and children. Where would they have the time to do such fancy things? If you ask me, this woman is simply playing hard to get. She's already married, yet she still goes around seducing men. Who knows how many green hats she has on her husband's head. Now she's just capsized. Serves her right. Why is this woman opening a medicinal cuisine livestream? Isn't it to treat illnesses and save people? Now that people have taken the initiative to come to her door, she's making all sorts of excuses. Why is she pretending to be virtuous? She's really deserving of it. Oh my God, there's actually a saint speaking up for this man. What kind of disgusting maggot is this? Ladies, wipe your eyes and look at these people clearly. Don't be fooled by these scumbags. Once this kind of extreme loser with double standards takes a fancy to you and you're unwilling to break up with him, he might go and spread rumors that you're seducing men and that you're promiscuous. He might even stab you with a knife. Don't find friends in the trash. There's actually someone who's willing to take action against a child. Some people's worldview is really a little touching. In this regard, I only want to say that human traffickers should all die. I suddenly remembered that in ancient records, there was a particularly famous doctor, that is, a doctor in ancient times, who treated a noble. Just because the treatment method he proposed was not to the noble's liking, he was cruelly killed. Previously, I thought it was ridiculous and that the ancients were ignorant. I didn't expect to see a real-life version one day. This can already be considered a medical disturbance, right? Such remarks suddenly increased. The audience, who were originally worried about the safety of Su Yiyan and her son, became extremely irritable. It's because of idiots like you that the streamer has always chosen to hide her identity. One slap doesn't make a sound? If you have the ability, stretch your face out. I guarantee you'll hear a sound. I hate this kind of victim theory the most. One slap doesn't make a sound? Hey, if I slap you, you might die. Upstairs, if you think this live stream is a publicity stunt, then eat more nutritious food to nourish your brain. Who would use their own lives and the safety of their children for publicity purposes? Moreover, it was in such a public live broadcast. Not to mention other things, just guiding fans to report false information to the police was enough for her to go in. In the end, you've been hyping it up for so long just to go in and squat. Do you really think everyone is as brainless as you? After the viewers in the live streaming room were briefly surprised by Su Yiyan's identity, they were all attracted by her and her child's current situation. Now, they were fighting with all kinds of demons and monsters in the live streaming room. You said what I wanted to say but didn't dare to say. Someone's fans are like lunatics, attacking people and not allowing any different voices to appear. In my opinion, we should report this platform and ban this live stream forever. Other than such comments, there were also some people who felt that the live stream was a publicity stunt. Trash hype dog. It's fine if you bought all kinds of marketing to hype up your store and fake medicine. Now, you're actually doing this kind of kidnapping, holding, and strangling live broadcast to show your pitiful side. You must be crazy for money. The bullet screen was very chaotic and lively. Su Yiyan did not know about this, but the system's continuous increase in favorability gave her some comfort. It made her certain that it was a wise decision to start a live broadcast at this time. Chapter 11:01. Su Yiyan calmed down and raised her head to look at Do Channy. She said solemnly, "I've already said that I can't help you. Your doctor should have already told you that your illness is incurable. At the very least, the current medical drugs are unable to achieve the effect of curing your illness. I'm just a normal person. I'm not even a doctor. I'm really not as good as you think." Do Channy didn't argue with Su Yiyan on this topic. He only said hoarsely, "Even if it can't be cured, I want to live a little longer. Then you should go to the research institute for help. Whether it's medicinal herbs or medicinal materials, I've already handed them over to the research institute to plant and promote. I'm just a dabbler in treating illnesses and saving people. The reason why I took these things out is because I don't want a bright pearl to be covered in dust. The research institute has pharmacologists and doctors who specialize in medicinal herbs. With decades of knowledge in these things, which one of them isn't better than me? Why do you have to be so stubborn to pester a layman like me?" Do Channy stared at Su Yiyan faintly. Miss Su's medical knowledge may not be as good as theirs, but your understanding of these things is more detailed than anyone else. So Miss Su doesn't need to feel any psychological pressure in this aspect. Other than Miss Su, I have a complete medical team by my side. They will choose the most suitable medical treatment according to Miss Su's prescription and my own physical condition. Do Channy's words were actually telling Su Yiyan that since she was caught by him, she should be more obedient. She shouldn't think of playing any tricks on his illness. Since he caught her, he definitely wasn't unprepared. Do Channy might not have medical knowledge and would be fooled by her, but the entire medical team by his side wasn't to be trifled with. As for what Miss Su mentioned just now, are you afraid that you'll put poison in the medicine? I really can't bear to touch Miss Su, but I don't have the same patience for anyone other than Miss Su. Do Channy glanced meaningfully at the little guy in Su Yiyan's arms. He said with a faint smile, "Some people, since you've already touched them once, it's no big deal to touch them again." Su Yiyan's body stiffened. She angrily shouted, "You dare!" At this point, Miss Su, what do you think I don't dare to do? Or does Miss Su think that it's really just a coincidence that I deliberately chose today? Su Yian pursed her lips. She already had a guess in her heart. If she was alone, Do Tianyi didn't want to die. But it was different with the child. No matter what she did, Su Yian had to consider the safety of her child, and it was inevitable that she would be constrained. System, how's collecting the favorability points? Is it enough for a big move? Su Yian knew that once the live broadcast was released, Huo Chenhuan would definitely make a move. However, the situation outside wasn't clear. She hoped that Huo Chenhuan would come quickly to save them, but she also had to save herself. Almost there. Su Yian's expression was a little ugly. The atmosphere between the two of them also became heavy and oppressive because of the lack of agreement. Just then, the sound of hurried and messy footsteps suddenly came from outside. It was accompanied by the anxious and troubled voices of several bodyguards. Wait, you can't go in now. Please don't make things difficult for us. Sai Yu. Chapter 1102. Su Yian keenly sensed that Do Tianyi's expression had changed subtly because of the commotion outside. He gave Li Yu a look. Li Yu immediately understood and walked over to Su Yian. Miss Su, please come over here. Su Yian narrowed her eyes and did not get up. What happened? Please allow me to explain the details later. Let's leave here first. This is also for the safety of you and the child. Don't worry, we won't do anything to you for the time being. For the time being? That meant that they could still do something to her in the future. Su Yian understood what he meant. Her eyes flashed coldly, but she also felt that the commotion outside was not right. She carried the child and went upstairs with Li Yu. However, she was still a step too late. Bang! The sudden gunshot not only scared the child who was sleeping soundly in Su Yian's arms, but it also scared the audience and Huo Chenhuan who were worried about the safety of Su Yian and her son in the livestream. Ah, what was that sound? Did they fire a shot? Where's the rescue team? Why hasn't anyone gone to save them? What will happen to the host and the baby? I didn't think much of it when they stole the child. I didn't expect a gun to appear now. What kind of people did the host provoke? Why is it so dangerous? That's right. When I heard that this group of people wanted to kidnap the host and send her abroad, I already felt that this group of people was too unscrupulous. I didn't expect them to have firearms. D***, will the host and the baby's life be in danger? Where are they? Is there anyone who can save them? The anxious cries of Su Yian's fans were also what Huo Chenhuan was thinking at the moment. The moment he heard the gunshot, his whole heart trembled. When he reacted, his eyes were red. He only urged the driver to go faster. Although the driver didn't know why the situation on the victim's side was broadcasted so clearly, and why the kidnappers didn't notice anything, he knew that the situation was urgent, so he stepped on the accelerator with all his might. The little guy, who was awakened by the noise, opened his eyes and burst into tears. Su Yian's attention was also drawn back. She anxiously comforted the child while trying to guess the identity of the person who had come. The more he thought about it, the colder his hands and feet became. Coming here at this time with such ill intentions, could it be? Just as he was thinking about it, the culprit who had scared the child to tears rushed in. It was a tanned and muscular man with a large scar on the left side of his face. As soon as he entered, he aimed his weapon at Do Tianyi. The group of people behind him also raised their weapons and pointed them at the other people in the room. Li Yu and the others were still fine. Although their expressions were ugly, they were still able to maintain their calm. Wen Jingping didn't have such a good psychological quality. When she saw the person's posture, her legs went weak and she almost fell to the ground. She subconsciously held Do Tianyi's wheelchair to steady herself, but when she saw the person pointing his weapon at Do Tianyi, she reflexively retracted her hand and even took 2 steps back with a pale face. She wanted to distance herself from Do Tianyi and distance herself from him. Do Tianyi saw her reaction, but he didn't care too much. Or it could be said that he didn't have any expectations for Wen Jingping in the first place. He looked up at the scarred man and chuckled. Mr. E, what do you mean by this? You just finished your job and you want to get rid of the donkey after it has left the millstone. Isn't that too unkind? Chapter 1103. When the scarred man heard Do Tianyi's words, he sneered. Even the scar on his face twitched, making him look very ferocious. Finished? She's already been snatched away, what else can you do? The scarred man said as he looked at Do Tianyi with hostility and viciousness. It's been a long time since someone dared to trick me like this. Kid, are you looking for death? Bang! As soon as the scarred man finished speaking, a gunshot rang through the hall again, followed by Wen Jingping's uncontrollable scream. The bullet brushed past Dou Tiany's face and hit the wall behind him, leaving a hole. It was both a dissatisfaction and a warning. Wen Jingping had never been so close to a firearm like this before. She screamed and fell to the ground, trembling. She was afraid that the scarred man's next shot would be her head. But you've forgotten that I'm a businessman. A businessman never does business that loses money. What I'm doing now is just giving you a taste of your own medicine. Mr. E, you don't have to pretend to be a victim of betrayal. The ridicule in Dou Tiany's words couldn't be more obvious, but he had forgotten that it was common for businessmen to fight amongst themselves. With just a few words, there were flashes of light and shadows of swords, and smoke of gunpowder filled the air. But now he was not facing a businessman, but an unreasonable outlaw. It was like Shiokai meeting Bing. It was not a competition of eloquence, but whose fist was bigger. Dou Tiany was quite calm in the face of this group of outlaws, as if the person who was threatened was not him. Mr. E, I'm afraid you've forgotten that we had an agreement. I'll help you hide your whereabouts, gather information for you, and find an opportunity to make a move on the family Hua. You help me catch Hua Chenhuan's wife. After that, you take your revenge and I'll treat my illness. We'll both benefit from each other and mind our own business. But what did you do? In the downtown area, you openly blocked, chased after cars and even opened fire. Dou Tiany's eyes turned cold as he said this. Mr. E, I'm not a fool. Everyone knows what you're trying to do. One of the most important terms in our agreement was not to hurt Miss Su. I still need her help to treat my illness, but you want her life. Well, killing her is equivalent to killing me. You've taken your revenge and vented your anger, and you can also remove the root of the problem. Killing two birds with one stone, this deal is really not a loss. At that time, Hua Chenhuan and the others had already located the villa's location through the environment in the live broadcast room and the information revealed by the few people's conversations. They came to the periphery of the villa. The live stream on Hua Chenhuan's phone was still open so that everyone could understand the situation more accurately and in real time. Zheng Qianyang didn't know how his niece-in-law opened the live broadcast, and the camera clearly wasn't on her, so he could completely rule out the possibility of her carrying a camera with her. I don't have time to listen to your bullshit. If you don't want to die, then be quiet and let me take her away. When the knife-scarred man said this, his gun was still pointed at Dou Tiany, but his eyes had already drifted to Su Yiyan, who wasn't far away. When Su Yiyan met the man's eyes, her heart trembled. She had a faint premonition that this man's hands were stained with blood, and it wasn't just the blood of one person. But it had to be said that the appearance of this live broadcast did provide them with very useful information, greatly facilitating their rescue. After seeing the knife-scarred face in the live broadcast, Zheng Qianyang's expression changed. Chapter 1104. It's really this guy. Hua Chenhuan's eyes flashed when she heard Zheng Qianyang's words. She asked coldly, "Do you know him?" Zheng Qianyang hesitated for a moment, but still chose to tell the truth. 3 days ago, with the cooperation of the police, my men used Hua Qihan to lure out that group of people. The situation at that time was very dangerous. The biggest leader was killed on the spot while escaping, but it was inevitable that a few of them escaped. Hua Chenhuan's face was terrifyingly gloomy. This man is one of the fish that escaped? Zheng Qianyang nodded solemnly. This man is the second in command of the leader. Although he is only the second in command, in fact, his methods are no less ferocious than the leader. Even the leader is old and no longer restrains his subordinates as much as before. In recent years, many things have been handled by this man. In short, this man was the second in command, but in fact he was already the uncrowned king of this group of people. Although they killed the so-called leader 3 days ago, they still let this slippery big fish slip away. And now this big fish had set his target on their family. What do we do now? Hua Chenhuan clenched her hands into fists. One could vaguely see the slightly bulging blue veins on her hands. The few of you, follow the few of you over there. Zheng Qianyang directed his men to surround the small villa. Remember not to alarm anyone and ensure the safety of the hostages. They tried their best to ensure the safety of Su Yiyan at all costs, but they also knew that the situation was not optimistic. If this man really wanted to kill Su Yiyan and her son, then they would not even have a chance to rescue them. Su Yiyan did not know that Hua Chenhuan and the others had already arrived outside the villa and were anxious to rush in to save her. From the conversation between Dou Tiany and this scarred man, she had already guessed the identity of this scarred man and knew that this person really wanted to kill her. Su Yiyan looked calm on the surface, but a layer of cold sweat had already formed on his back. She knew very well that Do Channy would not hand her over. Even if it was for his own life, he could not watch her die. But the point was, could he be more stubborn than these lunatics? As it turned out, Su Yiyan's worries were not unfounded. When Do Channy heard that the scarred man wanted to take Su Yiyan away, he said without thinking, "That won't do. I still need her to save my life. I can't let you take her away." The scarred man's face darkened. "I'm not negotiating with you. Do you believe that I won't kill you right now?" Do Channy wasn't afraid. He glanced at the scarred man and sneered, "Of course I believe you. But Mr. E, you have to consider the consequences of killing me. Apart from me, no one else can help you leave this place. Other things aside, the one in the family Hua is not someone easy to deal with." Before Do Channy could finish, the scarred man had already interrupted him. "Do you think I'm afraid of him? You are not afraid of them, but you are afraid of death. What happened a few days ago was a lesson. Do you want to repeat the same mistake? That's because they cheated. Cheating is also a strategy. How can Mr. E be sure that they don't have a backup plan? If that's the case, you wouldn't have asked me to cooperate. You were lucky to escape this time. How can Mr. E be sure that you will be so lucky next time? What if? There's no what if." Chapter 1105. Do Channy raised his eyebrows and chuckled, "Don't be so full of yourself. Even a rabbit will bite when cornered, let alone a mad dog. You killed his wife and child, he will kill you no matter what. When that time comes, I'm afraid Mr. E won't be able to escape." When Su Yiyan heard Do Channy describe Hua Chenhuan as a mad dog, his face darkened and a chill flashed through his eyes. When the knife-scarred man heard him say that, he was stunned. Soon after, he seemed to have thought of something and suddenly laughed. "Mad dog? That's an apt description. Everyone says that nephew is like uncle. Zheng Qianyang is a mad dog, his nephew is also a mad dog." When Su Yiyan heard this person mention Zheng Qianyang, his heart sank. He was almost certain of this knife-scarred man's identity. At this moment, the knife-scarred man suddenly raised his head and looked over. The two people's eyes met unexpectedly. Su Yiyan pursed his lips and his heart sank. Fortunately, the knife-scarred man's gaze didn't linger for too long. He quickly turned his attention back to Do Channy. He even put away the weapon that was originally pointed at him and took the initiative to walk to the sofa opposite Do Channy and sit down. "Kid, you're a smart person. Since you dare to say that, are you sure you can escape unscathed?" "Of course." A light flashed through the knife-scarred man's eyes. "What are you going to do?" Do Channy raised his head and looked at the clock. "In 10 minutes, Miss Su and I will take a private jet and leave here. Before that, there will be people who will help us lure away those bugs that are chasing after us. If Mr. E doesn't mind, you can leave with us." "Leave with you on a private jet?" Do Channy smiled faintly and shook his head. The knife-scarred man frowned. "No. To be precise, we'll leave together but not on the same plane. I've specially prepared a private jet for Mr. E to make it convenient for Mr. E to choose where to stay." If Do Channy wanted to escape, he naturally could not openly apply for the route on the surface. Otherwise, when Hua Chenhuan and the others reacted, they would be able to find out where they had gone. Wouldn't all their previous arrangements be in vain? The reason why he arranged another plane for the knife-scarred man and the others was that he wanted to get on the knife-scarred man's good side and let him know that he was the only one who could help him get out of this predicament. He wanted to emphasize his value so that the knife-scarred man wouldn't dare touch him. Secondly, it was to ensure his own safety. Do Channy knew that if the knife-scarred man wanted to leave, he would definitely have his own way. As long as he wanted to, he would definitely be able to solve the problem of the flight route. The difficult part was that even the cleverest housewife could not cook without rice. Now that he had given him a way out, he would naturally be able to find a way out. Furthermore, his connections would definitely not coincide with his own. When the time came, they would not be on the same plane and no one would know where they went. Even if this group of desperados wanted to burn the bridge after crossing the river, they would not be able to do anything. How could the scarred man not see through Do Channy's little scheme? But what he was more concerned about was, "You're guarding against me." "It's not that I'm guarding against you, I just want to ensure the safety of myself and Miss Su." "Mr. E, don't tell me you're scared?" "Provocation won't work on me, I'm just scared. The plane is yours and you won't be on the same plane as us. If the sky explodes, who can I reason with? You have to come with us." "That's impossible." "I'm not negotiating with you, I'm ordering you. I'm ordering you to come with us." The two of them had created a temporary harmony because of their escape, but now they were at daggers drawn because of their differences in escape arrangements. Chapter 1106. Su Yiyan felt an indescribable sense of irony as he watched the scene unfold. Two people who obviously had their own ulterior motives were on guard against each other, repeatedly jumping on the edge of falling out. However, for the sake of each other's safety, they had no choice but to cover up the thin layer of paper and fight a battle of wits and courage with each other. Su Yiyan was not interested in the game between the two. Su Yiyan was more concerned about whether he could bring the child out of here in the short span of 10 minutes. This question also affected the hearts of the audience in the live broadcast room. These people were originally very worried because of the appearance of the scarred man and the others. It was only when they heard Do Tianyi emphasize the time again that they realized that so much time had passed unknowingly. Obviously, the rescue team had not arrived yet. If this continued, wouldn't the host really be kidnapped by this group of dangerous people and taken abroad? In a split second, the live broadcast room was densely filled with messages, all of which were worried about Su Yiyan's future and concerned prayers. The favorability value rose rapidly, and finally Su Yiyan heard the prompt that he wanted to hear the most. Detected that the favorability value of the host has met the upgrade requirements. Do you want to upgrade immediately? Upgrade? Su Yiyan was stunned. After the upgrade, can I swallow the system on Wen Jingping? In theory it is possible. The system will try its best. The system was rarely modest. Su Yiyan's eyes flashed slightly and finally, there was a slight smile in his eyes. Then upgrade. Confirm to use favorability value to upgrade the system. This upgrade is estimated to take 1 minute. 59, 58, 57. 1 minute was not long, but it was not short either. Especially in this kind of life and death situation, every minute and second was torture. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Su Yiyan silently counted down with the system in his heart. The moment the 1 fell, he heard a crisp sound and the system's voice sounded again. System upgrade completed. Do you want to immediately clear the surrounding system? Yes. Su Yiyan's eyes flashed fiercely. Swallow it for me. At that time, Wen Jingping was worried about the terrible situation she might face after Do Tianyi left. Suddenly, a sharp alarm sounded in her mind. An unknown attack has been detected on the system. Host, please activate the protective device as soon as possible. An unknown attack has been detected on the system. Host, please activate the protective device as soon as possible. Detected. Beep. Host please. Beep. What? Wen Jingping was caught off guard by this sudden turn of events. Her pupils shrank as she stood rooted to the ground, not knowing what to do. While she was in a daze, she also didn't expect that there would be a high-level system in this era. Furthermore, the other party wanted to annex her main character system right from the start, which was also a little careless. This system's level was not as high as 001 because of Wen Jingping's slacking off. In addition, it didn't even notice 001's existence before it was attacked. Before it could even activate the protective device, it was already affected by 001's heavy blow and lost the initiative. The system firewall is under attack. The system's external links are under attack. The system store is under attack. The system's central module is under attack. The system's database is under attack. Ding, beep. The system's notifications, which were in the same frequency as her heartbeat, hit Wen Jingping's heart again and again, making her tremble in fear. Chapter 1107. What followed was the gradual collapse of the regional modules of the system and the distortion of the damage warnings. System damage rate, 20%. 40%. 68%. 89%. As the host of the system, Wen Jingping suddenly heard a sharp and shrill cry when the system's internal damage rate reached 100%. Wen Jingping subconsciously wanted to cover her ears, and her mind went blank for a moment. At this moment, Su Yiyan also received the good news from the system. System integration has reached 100%. The system store has been updated. The host can now exchange for items in the store for self-protection. Su Yiyan's eyes lit up when she heard the notification. She opened the system store and saw that there were many more items in the exchange store, which originally only had various Chinese medicinal herbs and various Chinese medical books. From various cheat-like auras to various types of charm enhancement, there were even self-protection tools. It was really infuriating. Fortunately, all these now belonged to 001 and her. Wen Jingping had a good hand and played it badly because when the system found her, she was in a period of depression where everyone wanted to beat her up. It was already good enough that people did not hate her, let alone have a good impression of her. Su Yiyan was different. Although she had just spent a lot of favorability points to upgrade, the audience in her live broadcast room really liked her and were worried about her. In just a short while, she had received a lot of favorability points, enough for her to exchange for some life-saving tools. I finally know why people call customers and fans the parents of their livelihood. The system had successfully swallowed another high-level system, and the contents of the chip had become much richer. When it heard Su Yiyan's exclamation, it asked a question which was rare. Why? They can save lives at critical moments. Not only were they self-producing, but they could also save lives at critical moments. What kind of touching little angels were these? Su Yiyan decided that if she could return safely this time, she would definitely do more live broadcasts in the airport and give a few more little angels as gifts to thank them for their help. The system was speechless. After a short silence, the system continued to broadcast another notification. Congratulations to the host for snatching the female protagonist's Goldfinger, progress +9. Current progress, 99%. The task of snatching the Goldfinger is about to be completed. Once completed, the host and his partner will completely replace the male and female protagonists as the pillars of the world and enjoy the various benefits of the protagonist's aura. After 001 swallowed Wen Jingping's system, the progress bar of snatching the Goldfinger had only jumped to 99. What was the last 1%? There was also the various benefits of the protagonist's aura? What benefits? Luck, promotion and wealth, a happy family. I don't lack of these now. What else can I get? These benefits feel a little useless? The system was speechless. You're still complaining about this? Do you want to go to heaven? Cough. The male and female protagonists of this world possess the world's providence, so their benefits are naturally not limited to this. Su Yiyan raised an eyebrow. For example, you'll definitely win a prize if you buy a lottery ticket, you won't die if you jump off a cliff, you won't lose in the ring, you'll definitely miss when you're under a hail of bullets, and you'll definitely pick up money not long after you leave the house. Cannon fodder will suffer when they see the host, and bullets will take a detour when they see the host. Su Yiyan was speechless. Are you even human? Su Yiyan was overjoyed that she had found a way to save her life. She was already planning to get the last 1%. On the other hand, Wen Jingping was in a miserable state. Chapter 1108. Her mind went blank for a moment when she heard the scream when the system was disconnected. It took her a while to regain her senses and realize what had happened. Her system, the only thing she could rely on, had been attacked by an unknown force. Just a moment ago. System? System? Wen Jingping was quite restrained at first. She kept calling out to the system in her mind, praying for a response. After calling out a dozen times without any response, Wen Jingping finally panicked. How could this be? How could this be? Impossible, impossible. System, where are you? Don't hide, don't scare me. Come out, system, come out. Wen Jingping's scream broke the standoff between Do Channy and the scarred man Mr. E. Do Channy frowned and gave Liu a look. Liu quickly went forward and grabbed Wen Jingping's hand to stop her from running around. Miss Wen, what are you doing? Calm down. How could Wen Jingping calm down at a time like this? She grabbed Liu's hand and said anxiously, my system is gone, someone stole it. Liu listened to her incoherent words and said impatiently, what system? Who stole your thing? Miss Wen, calm down first. No matter what you lost, now is not the time to talk about it. Let's wait for the boss to finish talking before we talk about your problem, okay? No, we can't wait. Someone stole my system. Someone stole my system. Who is it? Who is it? Wen Jingping said as she pushed Liu away and grabbed the hand of another person beside her. Is it you? Is it you? Or is it you? Wen Jingping was like a headless fly, chasing people around and asking questions. Even the fugitives that she was afraid of before became the targets of her suspicions. In the eyes of the crowd, this scene was like a crazy woman who had lost her mind and suddenly went crazy. Do Channy and the knife-scarred man were already unhappy because they couldn't reach an agreement on the topic. Now that they saw Wen Jingping crazily pulling people everywhere, they frowned at the same time. In the end, it was Liu who broke out in cold sweat. She directly ordered a few bodyguards to go forward and grab Wen Jingping, who still wanted to run around, and take her away first. Wen Jingping still wanted to struggle, but her strength was no match for these strong bodyguards. She could only follow them out. However, when she was near Su Yiyan, Wen Jingping seemed to have thought of something. Her body stiffened and her eyes widened. "It's you, right? You're the one who stole my system, it's you." Wen Jingping suddenly exploded. She almost broke free from the restraints of the bodyguards and pounced on Su Yiyan. After her attack failed, she suddenly became dispirited, as if she had thought of something unbelievable. I should have thought of it. She had transmigrated from the 21st century to this era of universal nutritional supplements. Although she had the script of a poor Cinderella, she had come into contact with the rich second-generation Huo Xiaofeng. She had relied on her home-cooked cooking skills to support herself and had accumulated many fans for herself. Everything was going well. Everything she had experienced told her that she had transmigrated with luck. One day she would climb to the top and become a person above others. However, all of this had unknowingly gone off the rails. Since when did it start? Chapter 1109. It was not that Wen Jingping had not thought about this problem before, but before this, Wen Jingping felt that the beginning of her misfortune was that talent show. Because she participated in that show, she provoked Yu Yushir and the others. Her hype failed. Not only did she fail to squeeze into the show, but she was also used as a sacrifice by the program team. She was also banned and terminated by the live streaming platform because of her bad reputation. Since then, her love career seemed to have taken a sharp turn and started to go downhill. Huo Xiaofeng was kicked out of the Huo Corporation because he caused a big mess and lost his inheritance rights. It was also at this moment that Wen Jingping realized how immature the potential stock she had set her eyes on was. She could not handle things and could not be relied on in the future. After learning from her mistakes, Wen Jingping decisively abandoned Huo Xiaofeng and seized the opportunity to hook up with Dou Qianni. In order to gain a foothold in the entertainment industry and wash away the negative effects of the talent show, Wen Jingping begged Dou Qianni to invest in a drama for her and let her be the female lead to make her famous. Dou Qianni did it, but she did not become famous because of it. Instead, she was ridiculed because it clashed with another drama from Su Yiyan's company, completely establishing her awkward position in the industry. It was not until Dou Qianni and Su Yiyan's conversation that Wen Jingping realized that something was wrong. Su Yiyan was actually a live streamer on Onlooker. The food section had appeared out of nowhere and caused countless topics. After she scammed her, it became even more popular and directly compared her to the medicinal cuisine live streamer in the dust. Perhaps she was wrong from the beginning. Her tragedy did not start with that talent show, but with Su Yiyan. Wen Jingping's initial impression of Su Yiyan was very one-sided. The reason for her hostility was very simple. Su Yiyan was Huo Xiaofeng's fiancée. This setting was very common in the melodramatic dramas she had seen. These rich second-generation young masters often had a fiancée who was already engaged in a business marriage. This fiancée was usually chosen for him by his family. She loved him to death, but the male lead didn't like her at all. Instead, he easily fell in love with Cinderella, who had a great disparity in status. Wen Jingping firmly believed that she was Cinderella, and even more firmly believed that her transmigration was a gift from the heavens. Naturally, she didn't like Su Yiyan, her fiancée. She felt that Su Yiyan was a vicious female supporting character who could ruin her relationship with Huo Xiaofeng. Huo Xiaofeng wanted to strike first and gain the upper hand by exposing her mask in front of everyone. That was why Huo Xiaofeng brought her to the banquet and showed off in front of his fiancée. Now that she thought about it carefully, it seemed that things started to go out of control from then on. Su Yiyan fell down the stairs and was hospitalized. As soon as she was discharged from the hospital, she broke off her engagement with Huo Xiaofeng and married Huo Xiaofeng's uncle. Not long after, on the same platform and in the same area, a food anchor who followed the same path as her appeared. However, this food anchor was more attractive than her. All of this was too much of a coincidence. In this era there weren't many people who could cook. How could her culinary skills be so good? In this era, Chinese medicinal herbs had clearly been lost. How could she take them out? Was it really her family's inheritance, or did she have some unusual opportunity? Taking a step back, even if she really had these things, why didn't she take them out before? Why did she have to appear during this period of time when she stopped broadcasting and went to participate in the talent show? Why did she steal all the glory that originally belonged to her? Chapter 1110. She failed in a talent show and was banned by the platform. Her boyfriend's protection was taken away. She was ridiculed when she finally found another company to film a TV series. She was called a mistress when she hooked up with a spare tire. She was banned by her family when she found a backer. On the other hand, Su Yiyan was an extreme case. After her live stream became popular, she hooked up with the Research Institute. Then she opened a brick-and-mortar store and captured millions of fans. She married a wheelchair-bound cripple and recovered. Then she seized power and became the head of the whole corporation. In addition, Su Yiyan opened an entertainment company. Artists relied on her to gain sympathy. She even used her as a stepping stone to shoot a TV series and became a hit in the ratings. Even the backer she had tried so hard to hook up with was not reluctant to leave after using her. He wanted to abandon her and beg her. It was as if all the luck she should have had been taken away by her. When she thought about the sudden attack on her system not long ago and the lack of information, Wen Jingping was even more certain of her guess. It's you. Must be you. You stole my system. No, you already have a system. You stole my system. Give it back to me. Give it back to me. With a definite suspect, Wen Jingping struggled even harder. Even the bodyguards who were holding her down almost couldn't hold her. Hearing her scream, Do Tianyi and the scarred man had different reactions. Do Tianyi's eyes flashed. He frowned and wanted Liu to grab her and drag her out. The scarred man stood up and said with a gloomy face, System? What system? What do you have on you? A tracker or a listening device? As soon as the scarred man said this, everyone was stunned. Their eyes all focused on Su Yiyan. They were on guard. The audience in the live stream subconsciously held their breaths. They were afraid that these cold-blooded demons would discover their existence and use it to hurt Su Yiyan and her son. In their opinion, Su Yiyan must have hidden a camera or something. Otherwise, how could she have started a live stream? If she was discovered by these people, the consequences would be unimaginable. Reality proved that not everyone's imagination was big enough. When the system was mentioned, they would subconsciously think of transmigration, rebirth, and other small probability events. Su Yiyan saw that everyone had misunderstood and raised his eyebrows. However, he was calmer than they had imagined. If I had these things on me, would you have brought me to this desolate place? Let's accept this vexation. That's not necessarily true. The scar-faced man narrowed his eyes, his face full of hostility. Zheng Qianyang is cunning and his nephew is probably no better. You better hand it over or else. Otherwise what? You want to search my body? Su Yiyan sneered, Before I came in, Mr. Do's men searched me from head to toe. Now you want to search me again? Do you not trust Mr. Do, or do you think Mr. Do is such a careless person? Am I holding you back? The provocation in Su Yiyan's words couldn't be more obvious. However, it was enough to disgust these two men who didn't see eye to eye. As expected, when she said this, the two men's expressions turned ugly. It wasn't just them. Even the bodyguards in black who had brought Su Yiyan back had ugly expressions. They were the ones who had brought Su Yiyan back. They were the ones who had checked him before he came in. Wasn't this man questioning their boss indirectly questioning them? Chapter 11:11. Su Yiyan saw the change in everyone's expression and sighed. Of course, if you want to force me to search again, I can't do anything about it. After all, I am now a prisoner. My life may be in danger at any time. How can I care about this? Su Yiyan's words could be said to be quite eccentric. In a roundabout way, she ridiculed Do Tianyi for going through so much trouble to invite her over but not being able to guarantee her safety, allowing an outsider to behave atrociously in his territory. Do Tianyi's eyes flashed. He knew Su Yiyan's intention, but he still went along with her words. He smiled faintly and said, Miss Su must be joking. Miss Su is my guest. No one will do anything to you. The knife-scarred man's face darkened slightly. There was a dangerous look in his eyes as he looked at Do Tianyi. Do Tianyi did not avoid the knife-scarred man's gaze. He calmly explained, Before entering, Miss Su had indeed been checked. All the communication signals in this place have been blocked. Even if she has something on her, she can't send it out. The knife-scarred man's expression became better. He no longer insisted on searching Su Yiyan's body. However, no one expected that Wen Jingping, who had been restrained and unable to move, would explode with unprecedented strength when she saw that everyone's attention was attracted by Su Yiyan. She broke free from the restraints of several bodyguards and rushed in the direction of Su Yiyan. Everything happened too suddenly. Everyone watched as Wen Jingping threw herself at Su Yiyan. Su Yiyan subconsciously protected her child and wanted to dodge. However, the system's prompt sounded in her mind again. It has been detected that a group of people has surrounded the villa. A fight is inevitable. Does the host want to exchange for the corresponding life-saving tools to ensure the safety of her life? A group of people? Su Yiyan was stunned. The first thing that came to her mind was, Qinhuan has arrived? Yes. After getting a definite answer, Su Yiyan instantly changed her mind. She stood motionless and let Wen Jingping throw herself at her. Dou Qianni and the others' faces changed slightly. They were afraid that Wen Jingping would throw herself at Su Yiyan. They did not know that since Su Yiyan allowed Wen Jingping to throw herself at her, she was not unprepared. Confirming the activation of the comprehensive defense system. Congratulations to the host for activating the halo and the large-scale melee halo. Within 10 minutes, all the chaos in the surroundings will not be able to harm the host at all. Those who harbor ill intentions towards the host will not be able to get within 1 meter of the host. What was Su Yiyan most afraid of? She was most afraid of the real thing in their hands. Now that the halo was activated, no matter how powerful the weapons were, they could not hit her and her child. They could not even get close to them. 10 minutes did not sound like a long time, but in this life and death situation, not to mention 10 minutes, even a minute or a second could determine who lived and who died. She had to admit that the system was quite reliable at critical moments. As soon as the halo was activated, Wen Jingping, who was throwing herself at Su Yiyan and reaching out to strangle Su Yiyan's neck, tilted to the side after throwing herself at Su Yiyan and fell down the stairs. She rolled all the way down the stairs and could not get up. Su Yiyan protected her child and was unharmed. However, at this time, everyone was attracted by another movement in the hall and did not notice her abnormality. Chapter 11-12. Huo Qinhuan and the others who had surrounded the villa like an iron bucket, could no longer hold themselves back when they saw Wen Jingping pouncing on Su Yiyan. They took the lead and opened the wooden storehouse for Dou Qianni and the scarred man. Dou Qianni was originally worried about Su Yiyan's safety and wanted to help. However, when he saw someone fall in front of him, his expression changed. He retreated under the cover of Li Yu and the others while ordering people to capture Su Yiyan. The scarred man was obviously thinking the same thing as him. Although they were caught off guard by the sudden attack of Huo Qinhuan and the others, they were still part of the mafia. However, he was a member of the underworld and compared to Dou Qianni he was better at dealing with this kind of situation. After the initial surprise, his first reaction was to get someone to arrest Su Yiyan. Only with Su Yiyan would they have a chance of survival. Even if they couldn't reach an agreement in the end, he wanted to drag that woman down with him. He wanted Jing Qianyang to experience the pain of having an important family member die because of him, just like 10 years ago. With this thought in mind, the scarred man only left a small group of people to deal with Zheng Qianyang and the others. The others were all sent to capture Su Yiyan. Su Yiyan wasn't stupid. Although she had the halo, she was now a live target. The scene was in chaos. It was fine if the bullets didn't hit her, but if everyone rushed towards her but no one could get close to her, anyone with a discerning eye would know that something was wrong. It was better to hide first. With her safety guaranteed, Su Yiyan looked at the chaotic hall and couldn't help but worry about Huo Qinhuan and the people who came to save her. The system seemed to have sensed Su Yiyan's emotions and suddenly gave her a reminder. The host and partner are in a cooperative relationship. The host and partner can use the products in the system store. Su Yiyan's eyes lit up. Really? Really? Su Yiyan was a little suspicious. Are you that good? The system was silenced for a few seconds by Su Yiyan's direct questioning before it spoke again. As long as the host pays the appropriate amount of favorable impression points, the host will be able to exchange items for partners. It's affordable. Are you sure you don't want to buy a set for your partner? Su Yiyan, 001. Are you really 001? Are you really my system? Could it be that it failed to swallow the person and got swallowed instead, becoming someone else's fake product? Her system was clearly not such a money grubber before. The system was confused by its host's 3 consecutive questions, and only after a long while did it reply coldly. Host, please do not casually question the authenticity of the system. The opening of the system store is due to the upgrade of the system after the integration with the world's female protagonist system. Su Yiyan breathed a sigh of relief. That's right. This serious tone is the system I'm familiar with. The system was speechless. I'm so angry. Open everything that can be opened for him. As Su Yiyan spoke, she seemed to have thought of something. She frowned and asked, can it only be used on Qinhuan alone, or can it be used on others as well? The items in the system store can only be used on the host and the host's partner for the time being. Su Yiyan heard this and sighed. Sure enough, she could not be too greedy. She was already lucky to be able to guarantee Huo Qinhuan's safety. She hoped that the others would be fine as well. Reality proved that the cheat that the system gave to Su Yiyan at the last minute was very useful. When chaos broke out in the hall, Huo Qinhuan took the lead and blended into the chaotic crowd through a small shortcut almost without thinking. Chapter 11-13. But even so, it was still not easy to get to Su Yiyan's side. The live broadcast on the internet was suddenly cut off the moment Su Yiyan was pushed down by Wen Jingping, leaving countless viewers who were worried about Su Yiyan and her son. Huo Qinhuan's heart felt like it had been thrown into a pot of oil and fried. It was incomparably torturous. He tried his best to move in the direction of his wife and child. In the chaos, although the people on the knife-scarred man's side did not know his identity, they could see that the people around them valued him. These cunning guys almost instantly chose to focus their fire on Huo Qinhuan. Several times Huo Qinhuan could feel the bullets grazing his scalp. It was less than a centimeter away, but it was the distance between life and death. But it was so thrilling that when Huo Qinhuan reached Su Yiyan's side, not a single hair fell. Seeing this, the people who protected him were surprised and wondered when their ability to protect people had become so good. Qinhuan. Su Yiyan hid in the blind corner of the stairs and watched Huo Qinhuan charge forward under the protection of a group of people. Even though she knew that the other party had the halo of the system and would not be hurt, she was still frightened. Several times she subconsciously wanted to hold the child and rush over to join him. Fortunately, she was still rational. She knew that she could not help at all and would only cause trouble, so she barely controlled herself. Now that she saw that the people had finally come in front of her, Su Yiyan finally stopped restraining herself. If it were not for the child in her arms, she would have plunged into Huo Qinhuan's arms. It was not convenient for Su Yiyan to reach out and hug someone, but Huo Qinhuan did not have this concern. Without thinking, he reached out and took his wife and child, who had been lost and recovered, into his arms. Sorry I'm late. Su Yiyan was held in his arms. She only felt that the chest of the person in front of her was like an iron wall that firmly surrounded her. As long as he was there, no one in this world could hurt her. No, you're not late. The child and I are fine. We're fine. Only then did Huo Qinhuan remember the child in Su Yiyan's arms. She lowered her head and saw that her little child's face was red from crying. His eyes were also red from crying. He looked extremely pitiful. Although the little guy was usually a troublemaker and loved to steal his wife's attention, he was still his son after all. Seeing him like this, Huo Qinhuan could not help but feel a little distressed. That woman suddenly rushed over. Did she hurt you and the baby? Su Yiyan was startled. Only then did she remember that when Jingping had fallen down the stairs. She didn't know how she was doing. Su Yiyan turned to look at the place where Wen Jingping had fallen, only to find that it had been occupied by another group of people. As for Wen Jingping, she was nowhere to be found. No one knew if she had been taken away or, "It's okay, I let her fall on purpose." When she rushed over, she used a bit of skill. It looked like she had pushed me down, but in fact, I fell down by myself. When she was about to press down on me, I pushed her. You didn't see how she rolled down the stairs just now. Su Yiyan wasn't sure how many people in the live broadcast room had seen the scene that had happened not long ago. She couldn't help but cover up a few words to avoid suspicion. Huo Qinhuan had always believed Su Yiyan's words without a doubt. Instead, she was more concerned about Su Yiyan's first sentence. You let her fall on purpose? If I said that I had telepathy with you and could feel that you were waiting outside to save me, so I deliberately pretended to be pushed down by her to create an opportunity for you, would you believe me? Chapter 11-14. Huo Qinhuan's eyes flickered. An unfathomable emotion flashed across her eyes, but she quickly calmed down. If you say so, I'll believe you. Ahem. Su Yiyan was just about to let out a sigh of relief when they heard a soft cough beside them. The two of them instinctively turned around to look at the source of the sound. They saw a young man who had escorted Huo Qinhuan here. He looked at them with a subtle expression and said awkwardly, "Well, if you have anything to say, let's talk outside. Let's leave first?" Su Yiyan couldn't help but blush. Huo Qinhuan, on the other hand, was very calm. She even asked in return, "You don't have a girlfriend, right?" The young man? What's wrong? Are you trying to remind me that I'll be struck by lightning if I interrupt someone else's date? Or are you trying to mock me for not being able to understand you couples because I don't have a girlfriend? With just this one sentence, the young man felt the malice of this world towards single people. Although it was a little awkward to be interrupted, the young man was right. This wasn't a safe place. Let's go back first. Zheng Qinyang's people temporarily stalled the scar-faced man's group. Dou Qian's people found an opening and wanted to stop them. However, the people protecting Hua Chenhuan weren't to be trifled with either. Other than one or two people who were difficult to deal with, the rest of them didn't pose much of a threat to them. Su Yiyan and the others' original position was less than 10 meters away from the villa. However, it took them nearly 10 minutes to get there. Just as the system's halo items were about to expire, they finally got out of the villa and saw the light of day again. The people outside are basically my uncles and my people. Don't worry. Su Yiyan was startled. Only then did she realize that the villa was surrounded by people dressed in the same way as those behind Hua Chenhuan. Uncle? Su Yiyan was stunned for a while before she realized. Uncle is here too? Where is he now? Will something happen to him? He's on the other side with another group of people. Don't worry, he'll be fine. I'll take you and the child back first. We'll meet up with him later. When the young man who had reminded them heard their conversation, he suddenly interrupted. Captain Zheng is a legendary figure in our bureau. Even though he hasn't been in the pugilistic world all these years, there are still legends about him. With him personally leading the team, the results should be out soon. You don't have to worry. Su Yiyan subconsciously looked at Hua Chenhuan and said with a faint smile, I didn't expect Uncle's reputation to be so high. Hua Chenhuan also laughed, and her tone was unconsciously filled with pride. Uncle has always been very outstanding. Since the professional had said so, Su Yiyan also knew that she would only be a burden if she brought the child along. Therefore, she temporarily suppressed the worry in her heart and prepared to leave with Hua Chenhuan. However, she had only taken a few steps forward when a familiar system notification sounded in her mind, stopping her in her tracks. Detected that the world's female lead is dead. Snatching the female lead's Goldfinger progress +1. Current progress is 100%. Snatching the Goldfinger mission completed. Host and partner have officially replaced the world's male and female leads as the world's pillars. The replacement progress bar has officially been activated. As soon as the system notification sounded, a golden progress bar appeared in front of Su Yiyan. It was filling up from left to right at a speed visible to the naked eye. In a short while it had filled up half of the bar. However, what Su Yiyan was more concerned about was, Wen Jingping is dead? Chapter 11:15. Yes. According to the data just a minute ago, the original female lead's vital signs have completely disappeared. A thorn in Su Yiyan's heart was suddenly pulled out just like that. Su Yiyan felt that it was a little unreal. She's dead? How did she die? Could it be that during the chaos just now she was accidentally hit by a stray bullet? No, from the data feedback, Wen Jingping was killed in a dispute with Dou Qiani. Su Yiyan was even more surprised. She was killed by Dou Qiani. It turned out that when Su Yiyan and the others left the villa, Dou Qiani had also escaped to the villa's backyard under the cover of his subordinates. The group of people he sent to find Su Yiyan naturally did not have a good time with Su Yiyan. Seeing the person their employer wanted was rescued just like that, they did not know what to do. Coincidentally, at this moment, Wen Jingping, who was fleeing in a panic, entered their sight. One of the bodyguards had a bright idea and brought Wen Jingping to Dou Qiani. Dou Qiani's body was already at the end of its flight. Seeing that the group did not bring Su Yiyan back, his pale face instantly sank. Even when he saw Wen Jingping later on, his face did not improve, but it was better than nothing. Before they caught Su Yiyan, the defective product in front of them could still be used. Dou Qiani took a deep breath and felt that his chest was blocked, making it difficult to breathe. He hurriedly waved at Wen Jingping. You come here. Wen Jingping had lost her cheat, the system, and returned to her previous timid state. Hearing Dou Qiani calling her over, she was so scared that she trembled. After hesitating for a while, she braced herself and walked over under his unhappy gaze. Didn't you say that you have a way to alleviate my condition? I don't feel too good right now. Help me massage it again. Wen Jingping's lips trembled, but she couldn't say anything. The reason why she was able to help Dou Qiani get out of the hospital temporarily was because she had used a lot of points to exchange for items from the system. Then, under the pretense of massaging Dou Qiani, the system used the items on him. Now that the system was gone, where was she going to find the tools to help him alleviate his illness? Dou Tiany's face was as pale as paper, but his eyes were still sharp. Is there a problem? No, no problem. Wen Jingping did not dare to disagree with Dou Tiany. She could only tremble as she walked behind him and massaged his shoulders and neck. In her mind, she was secretly thinking about how to escape. At this moment of life and death, Wen Jingping's brain, which was not very good at thinking, suddenly became alert. With Dou Tiany's cunning and quick-witted mind, Wen Jingping did not think that she could hide it from him for long. Now that things had turned out like this, he definitely could not stay in the country any longer. Su Yiyan was not caught. Most likely, Dou Tiany would settle for the next best thing and take her abroad. If the system was still around, Wen Jingping could not ask for more. But now that the system was gone, what would Dou Tiany do to her when he knew that she was completely useless? At that time she would have no one to rely on. She would drift abroad alone and no one would know if she died. There would not even be anyone to collect her body. No, she could not just sit there and wait for death. Enough. Wen Jingping was so scared by her own thoughts that her face turned pale. When she suddenly heard Dou Tiany's angry shout, her heart almost stopped beating. She subconsciously took a step back. What's wrong? Did I hurt you? I'm sorry. I was scared and didn't control my strength. Chapter 11:16. Dou Tiany frowned. He turned his wheelchair to face her and asked coldly, "What is the system you mentioned before?" Wen Jingping was shocked. She lost her composure and showed a guilty expression. At the same time, she resented Su Yiyan even more for taking everything away from her. No, nothing. You know me. I don't like to ask the same thing twice. Wen Jingping trembled. She lowered her head and didn't dare to look into Dou Tiany's eyes. She subconsciously clenched her hands. It's really nothing. Dou Tiany sneered. If it's nothing, why would you suddenly go crazy? If it's nothing, why would you throw yourself at Su Yiyan in front of me and so many people? Is that so? Dou Tiany's eyes became colder. My patience is limited. You better not waste my time talking nonsense with me. Otherwise, Dou Tiany looked at the chaos outside. It's so chaotic outside. It's normal for one or two people to die. Wen Jingping could hear the threat in Dou Tiany's words. Her eyes widened. She never thought that she would be involved in this kind of thing. Her mind was blank and she didn't know how to deal with it. Dou Tiany paused and raised his eyebrows. Speaking of which, if you didn't throw yourself at her and give those people an opportunity, things wouldn't have turned out like this. Wen Jingping's face changed again. Su Yiyan wasn't here, so Wen Jingping could temporarily suppress the hatred in her heart. She then realized that she had made a big mistake. I just heard that you were going to take her abroad and not me. I was confused and made a scene. Yes. Dou Tiany muttered. According to what you said, the system exists in your consciousness. Others can't see or touch it. If that's the case, how can you be sure that she has the system you mentioned? She has it, she must have it. Since she had already said it, Wen Jingping did not intend to continue to hide it. Wen Jingping felt a chill run down her spine when Dou Tiany glanced at her. She then glanced at the tall and strong bodyguards around her. She pursed her lips and finally unwillingly revealed her big secret. Even though Dou Tiany had already guessed it, he still found it hard to believe. You're saying that you've obtained a system by chance, and this system can alleviate my illness through some unexplainable means. Does Su Yiyan also have such a system? Dou Tiany, who had already asked people to investigate Su Yiyan thoroughly, heard her words and a trace of disdain flashed past his eyes. Needless to say, with her original cultivation and ability, a woman like her could really be that powerful. However, that system... In other words, as long as I can obtain Su Yiyan's system, my illness can be cured? Su Yiyan had taken away her system. If she revealed it now, there would definitely be a lot of people who wanted her system. If she couldn't get it, Su Yiyan wouldn't be able to get it either. You've seen her live broadcast, right? The medicinal herbs she used during her live broadcast don't exist in this world at all. That was given to her by her system. Also, didn't her disabled husband stand up again? It must be the system that helped her. Otherwise, how could a woman like her suddenly become so powerful? Yes, that's it. Yes. Your system was swallowed by her, so your system is inferior to hers. Chapter 11:17. It was clearly a statement, but Wen Jingping felt an inexplicable chill. No what? Dou Qianni interrupted Wen Jingping's unfinished words and chuckled. Your system hasn't been taken away, or your system isn't worse than others? Wen Jingping's lips trembled and she couldn't speak. Dou Qianni was too lazy to waste any more effort on her. His cold eyes swept over her body, and in an instant, he had convicted her. Since you don't have a system on you, then you're useless. Wen Jingping's heart suddenly thumped. She looked at Dou Qianni in disbelief. She couldn't believe that he would be so heartless, but she had to believe it. Wen Jingping only snapped out of her daze when the bodyguards understood what Dou Qianni meant and surrounded her. She looked around and seemed to have thought of something. Her eyes flashed with resentment and madness. She rushed to Dou Qianni's side before the bodyguards rushed over and used all her strength to push the handle of Dou Qianni's wheelchair. Dou Qianni didn't expect Wen Jingping to do this. Or it could be said that he didn't take Wen Jingping seriously from the beginning. He only saw her as a plaything that he could pinch and flatten at will. Wen Jingping's actions were beyond everyone's expectations. It was also because of this that she managed to buy time for herself. Dou Qianni's wheelchair was overturned. Everyone, including Li Yu, was shocked. They shouted "Boss!" and rushed over to check on Dou Qianni's condition. How could they still care about Wen Jingping? Wen Jingping took advantage of the chaos to run away. She wanted to escape before everyone could react. However, she was still too naive. Dou Qianni's body was already weak. After being pushed by Wen Jingping, he lay on the messy lawn in the garden and couldn't get up for a long time. With great difficulty, Li Yu helped him back into his wheelchair. His eyes were already bloodshot. To be tricked by a little thing that he had never even considered worthy of his attention was a complete humiliation in his eyes. His resentment over the recent setbacks reached its peak at this moment, causing him to snatch the gun from Li Yu's hand and point it at Wen Jingping without hesitation. Bang! Bright red blood stained Wen Jingping's back and chest. She widened her eyes and wanted to turn her head to take one last look at her murderer, but because of the inertia of running away, she finally fell to the ground before she could completely turn her head and died with her eyes wide open. As for Dou Qianni, at the moment of Wen Jingping's death, the life force that had been forcefully filling his body seemed to have been completely sucked out in an instant. It was as if something had suddenly grabbed him by the throat. His entire body stiffened and his eyes widened. After a moment, his body went limp and he fainted. After Su Yiyan figured out the ins and outs of the situation, he more or less sighed a little. Compared to the original work where love was paramount, the male and female leads in this world could be said to only have a relationship of using each other. When benefits came, they would unite. When benefits ran out, they would break up. He just didn't expect that they would break up so tragically. Without waiting for Su Yiyan to finish lamenting, the golden progress bar was filled. Following that was the familiar mechanical voice of the system, confirming Su Yiyan and Huo Chenhuan as the male and female leads of the subworld. Please consciously abide by the rules of the subworld. Do not do anything that harms the people or the subworld. Reasonably use the subworld's luck. The mission of counterattack and face slap 001 has been completed. It will leave the host in 1 minute. Please be prepared. Countdown begins. Su Yiyan was startled and asked, "You're leaving?" Chapter 11:18. Yes, the system's mission has been completed. The store has been fully opened to the host. You can no longer stay in this world. Su Yiyan was silent for a while. Although she knew that there was something in her mind at the beginning, she always felt an inexplicable sense of fear and doubt. However, during this period of time, the system had indeed helped her a lot. People's hearts were made of flesh. After this period of interaction, she actually had already regarded the system as a friend. And now this friend was leaving. It was possible that they would never meet again in this lifetime. As if it had sensed Su Yiyan's emotions, the system suddenly opened its mouth and asked, "Host, these remaining points, can you give them to me?" Points? Su Yiyan was a little puzzled but did not think much of it. Anyway, the system was leaving. There was no use for her to keep these points. Sure. Then goodbye. When the last mechanical voice fell, no one noticed that an invisible light had split into 2 beams and landed on Su Yiyan and Huo Chenhuan respectively. It flashed, then returned to silence. Goodbye. Su Yiyan whispered in her heart. She felt lost. What's wrong? Huo Chenhuan saw that Su Yiyan had suddenly stopped. Her face also showed some disappointment as she asked with concern. Su Yiyan seemed to wake up from a dream. She forced a smile and shook her head. Carrying the child, she walked towards the car. At this moment, a few people suddenly cried out in alarm not far away. "Be careful." Su Yiyan was shocked. She instinctively turned her head and saw that the scarred man she had met before had escaped from the main group. He was standing in the corner of the courtyard in a secluded area. He raised his finger and pointed at Huo Qinhuan's position. It looked like he was about to pull the trigger. "No." Su Yiyan screamed, but it was too late to stop him. The heart-stopping sound of a gunshot rang out. What everyone expected did not happen. The knife-scarred man stared blankly at the wound on his chest where blood kept gushing out. The pride and viciousness on his face had completely turned into astonishment. He blankly turned his head to look, and then his body swayed and fell heavily to the ground. Behind him, Zheng Qianyang watched this scene with a cold expression. He slowly put away the thing that was still warm in his hand. Su Yiyan was shocked and glad at the same time. Holding the child, her legs went soft and she sat on the ground. Not long after, a shadow covered her and pulled her into his arms. He comforted her softly, "Don't be afraid, I'm fine." In a split second, all the things he had experienced, all the fear and all the grievances he had felt that day exploded. She grabbed Huo Qinhuan's hand tightly and couldn't help but cry. She didn't cry when she was hit by a car, hit by another car, or threatened by bullets with her child. She didn't cry when she was brought to this secluded place and had to face not only the suspicious and cunning Do Qianni, but also those vicious outlaws. When she couldn't even guarantee her own safety, she didn't cry. But all this patience finally fell apart when she saw the man pointing the gun at Huo Qinhuan. She could no longer pretend to be strong. It turned out that she was also afraid. She was afraid of death, but she was even more afraid of the death of the people she cared about. When Su Yiyan cried, the child in her arms also cried. Huo Qinhuan looked at the adult and the child crying. He didn't say anything. He just hugged her tighter. How could he not know about Su Yiyan's fear and lingering fear? Over the past day, his uneasiness and panic were no less than theirs. Fortunately, everything was over now. Chapter 11:19. When Su Yiyan woke up again, it was already noon the next day. Too many things had happened the day before. Not only was her back sore, but she was also a little absent-minded. She had forgotten how she came back yesterday. When she walked downstairs in a daze, she found that Qing Xiuqin, Ling Xiaoqi and the others were all there. Su Yiyan was so scared that she was completely awake. "Dad, Mom, brother, and Xiaoqi. Why are you all here? You're still talking about it?" Qing Xiuqin took the lead and got up to greet her. She grabbed her hand and said, "You actually hid such a big thing from me. If I didn't happen to see the live broadcast online yesterday." Qing Xiuqin still had some lingering fear when she said this. God knew how worried and scared she and her husband were when they saw the live broadcast online yesterday. Fortunately, the children were fine. Otherwise, she wouldn't know what to do. Su Yuxuan, who wanted to hide this matter, and Huo Qinhuan looked at each other. They both felt a little guilty. They touched their noses and didn't dare to talk. Especially Su Yuxuan. When Su Yiyan came back yesterday, she was already tired and fell asleep. Huo Qinhuan carried her in. At that time, Su Yiyan's parents, who had received the news early and ran to the family Huo to wait, thought that something had happened to her when they saw her being carried in. Their legs went soft and they almost fainted. Fortunately, although Huo Qinhuan was surprised to see them, she quickly explained that the adults and children were fine. They were just frightened and fell asleep because they were too tired. The two of them were pulled back from the edge of collapse. However, after experiencing such ups and downs, the two of them were unwilling to go home. So they stayed in the family Hua for the night, waiting for the children to wake up. That night, Su Yiyan was very tired and slept like a log. The three of them did not get much sleep that night. When Su Yuxuan woke up, he tried to hide it from his parents, but it was only natural that his parents would settle the score with him. Before Su Yiyan went downstairs, he had already been scolded for a long time. When Su Yiyan heard Qing Xiuqin's words, she knew what was going on. She quickly explained for Huo Qinhuan, "Qinhuan and the others didn't tell you. It's their fault. But this matter was scary. They were afraid of scaring you, so they didn't dare to tell you. Forgive them." Qing Xiuqin and his wife were a little angry at first, but Huo Qinhuan risked her life to go into the enemy's camp. Now, she only brought it up again because she was angry that they had excluded their parents from such a big matter. They were even worse than the viewers in the live stream who only found out about it at the end. Qing Xiuqin glared at his daughter, who was eager to defend his son-in-law. "I'll let it go this time." If this happens again, I'll take little Xingxing home and raise her. Let's see if you're worried. Su Yiyan rubbed her face, which was a little painful from being pinched. She laughed and said, I'm definitely worried. Someone might not be so. Who knows, he might even be asking for it. What? Cheng Xiuqin didn't hear the last part of Su Yiyan's words clearly. He frowned and asked. Su Yiyan hurriedly said, nothing. I mean, since you said so, we won't dare to do it again. That's more like it. Cheng Xiuqin snorted and didn't continue to dwell on this topic. Su Yiyan breathed a sigh of relief. She turned to look at Huo Qinhuan, only to see that he was also looking at her. Su Yiyan was stunned. Thinking of what happened yesterday, her heart trembled. Chapter 11:20. The brief exchange of glances between the two did not attract the attention of the elders. When Mr. Su saw that his wife was done criticizing him, he also talked to Su Yiyan about another serious matter. Since you're fine, let your uncle and grandfather know later. Don't let them worry too much. Grandfather and uncle know about it too? This matter has caused a lot of commotion. How could they not know? I reckon that they won't be able to sit still for the next 2 days and will come to see you and the child. Su Yuxuan seemed to have thought of something as he spoke. He coughed lightly and said, and those fans of yours online, it's best if you tell them that you're safe. Yesterday your live broadcast was suddenly interrupted, and the police couldn't immediately give an explanation. Your fans are about to turn the sky upside down. The live broadcast was suddenly interrupted? When Su Yiyan heard Su Yuxuan's words, she was stunned. Yesterday's live broadcast was interrupted? When did it stop? When that woman suddenly went crazy and ran over to pounce on you and the child. Su Yiyan did not expect the live broadcast to be interrupted so early. However, her original intention of starting the live broadcast was to expose the true colors of Dou Tianyi and the others. At the same time, she also wanted to let Huo Qinhuan and the others confirm her situation and location. The live broadcast was interrupted at that time, so it did not have much of an impact. However, for the audience who watched the entire live broadcast at that time, the live broadcast being interrupted at that time was like watching a drama at the climax and suddenly saying, please listen to the next episode. They were probably angry and worried. But then again, she was able to get out of trouble this time thanks to the favorable impression points provided by the audience. Even without Su Yuxuan's reminder, she was prepared to do something to repay these lifesavers. I know. Later, after I say goodbye to uncle and grandfather, I will let them know that I'm safe. Su Yiyan said this and suddenly turned to look at Huo Qinhuan. Where's uncle? Why don't I see him? He went to deal with the aftermath. Huo Qinhuan paused. In the end, he still felt that Su Yiyan had the right to know about this. When Jingping is dead. The man who wanted to kill me is also dead. Those who were present at the time were either dead or injured. Dou Tianyi's condition worsened and he was sent to the emergency room. I don't think he'll be able to come out again. Su Yiyan had already guessed most of these things, so there was nothing surprising about it. What she was more concerned about now was, have you caught those people? Huo Qinhuan was stunned. She knew that Su Yiyan was not only talking about the people in the villa yesterday, but also the group of people that Jing Chenyang had been tracking. Yes, I've caught them all. This time no one is left out. Only then did Su Yiyan breathe a sigh of relief, revealing a relieved smile. Their souls in heaven can rest in peace now. Uncle is also free. Huo Qinhuan lowered her head and held Su Yiyan's hand. She replied in a low voice, yes. After confirming the safety of Su Yiyan and the child, the two elders finally felt relieved. The sleepiness that had been suppressed for the whole night also surged up. They went back to rest first. After the few of them left, Su Yiyan first went to check on the child. After confirming that he was still sleeping soundly, she reported to the old man that he was safe. In fact, when Su Yiyan came back yesterday, Qin Shueru and the others already knew about the situation on their side from Cheng Xiuqin. However, they still felt uneasy when they did not see him. Now that they finally saw him alive in front of them, they finally felt relieved. They gave Su Yiyan a few simple instructions and told her that they would go and see him in 2 days before hanging up. After hanging up, Su Yiyan breathed a sigh of relief. After hesitating for a moment, she turned on the camera that had been installed for a long time. Chapter 11:21. The fans in Su Yiyan's live broadcast room were still brooding over the sudden interruption of the live broadcast the day before. They were running around, trying to find some clues from the major media reports to confirm the safety of Su Yiyan and her son. When they heard the sudden beep of the live broadcast, many people almost thought that they had heard wrongly. After the initial shock, a large number of people flocked to the live broadcast room. In a moment, the number of viewers in Su Yiyan's live broadcast room was pushed to the top of the website. Host? Is it really the host? Are the host and the baby all right? Yesterday's live broadcast was really infuriating. She dropped the ball at the crucial moment and caused me to not sleep well the whole night. I was worried about the safety of the host and the baby. Fortunately, the host is fine. Host? Oh my God, it's really the host. The host is back. It's good that she's fine. It's good that she's fine. I was really scared to death yesterday. How can there be such a deranged person in this world? They should all be captured and locked up, never to be let out again. Su Yiyan looked at the screen full of, "It's good that she's fine." Her heart was slightly warm. Thinking that she could successfully get out of trouble this time, these little cuties had contributed a lot. She couldn't help but smile a little. Thank you for your concern. I'm fine. Thanks to everyone's help, the rescue team came in time. The baby and I are fine. The bad guys have been arrested. With the host's personal confirmation, many people who were waiting in the live broadcast room were greatly relieved. It's good that the host and the baby are fine. Although I knew that those people were not good people when I watched the live broadcast, I was still shocked when I saw the official report this morning. The host and the baby are very lucky to be able to return safely. One who survives a great disaster is bound to have good fortune. I hope the host and the baby can be safe and happy in the future. Although the media reports didn't name names, people who were paying attention to the situation could still find clues from the large number of reports and match these words with what they had seen and heard. Su Yiyan's incident this time was very bad. If they didn't respond in time, it would easily cause panic. Therefore, a report came out early in the morning, pointing out the identity of the scarred man and the others. It claimed that they were a group of illegal forces who had been smuggled back from abroad. Their methods were cruel and very dangerous. However, with the cooperation of the police and the general public, this group of people have all been arrested and will no longer endanger the safety of the public. Please do not worry. As for the victim, Su Yiyan, her identity was rather sensitive. Moreover, they were probably worried that Su Yiyan would attract too much attention and attract other dangers. Therefore, they did not mention much about her. This also caused the audience to be even more worried about Su Yiyan and her son's current situation. Once his tense nerves relaxed, he naturally had the mind to care about other things, such as Su Yiyan's true identity. So, is the host really President Su of Dongqing Group? The boss of the entertainment company whose boss is more popular than his employees? Su Yiyan almost choked when she saw this message. The boss was hotter than the employees? Where did this rumor come from? If there isn't an agency named Dongqing, it should be. It's actually true. No wonder those gossip accounts couldn't find out the host's identity no matter how hard they tried. It turns out that the host has been jumping around under their noses all this time. Is this the legendary darkness under the light? Chapter 11:22. Don't talk about them, we didn't recognize it either. Thinking about it carefully, I also ate the melon of the host tearing up the mistress before. At that time, I felt that the voice in the video was inexplicably familiar, as if I had heard it somewhere. It's a pity that I didn't have the desire to know the truth. Now that I think about it, I missed 100 million yuan. There were many people who had this idea. Su Yiyan had torn up the green tea with her own strength, defended her own artists and other high-profile deeds, which had indeed attracted many people to eat her melon. It was just that at that time, no one dared to associate Su Yiyan with the boss of a big company. A few people who had a big imagination did not dare to speak out at will. A small food area's internet celebrity and a big boss with a winner's script. Wasn't this a blatant scam? No, they couldn't let the host bear inexplicable charges because of their momentary slip of the tongue. This idea must be nipped in the cradle. However, these people would never have thought that because of their sensibility, they would miss the truth again and again. They really didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Of course, there were also people who realized that many of their favorite artists belonged to Su Yiyan's company. The chef is ecstatic. I suddenly found that my favorite host turned out to be the boss of my favorite brother. The dimensional wall is broken. My little sister is the same. The host has a good eye. The qualifications of the artists promoted in recent years are very good, and they don't make any trouble. I suddenly remembered that the host and my brother had a scandal before. After that, my brother seemed to explain that it was because the new company learned that his sister was ill and hospitalized. The boss was very kind and took the initiative to visit and help his sister find a good doctor to treat her. This doctor shouldn't be the host, right? Yes, I also thought of it when you mentioned it. So the host went to the hospital to see a doctor for his sister, not to visit? Su Yiyan saw that someone mentioned Luo Weibing and his sister. She smiled but was not in a hurry to grab the credit. She just said with a smile, "At that time I went to the hospital to visit. Luo Weibing's sister was able to get better because of the doctors in the hospital, but she did have a period of recuperation with medicinal cuisine when she recovered. That visit was to see how the child was recovering so that we could make some follow-up adjustments." As soon as Su Yiyan said this, Luo Weibing's fans were a little excited. Those who had watched Su Yiyan's live broadcast and tasted the medicinal cuisine in her shop knew very well how effective these nourishing medicinal cuisines were. Listening to Su Yiyan, most people only think that she is modest, and Luo Weibing's fans spontaneously express their gratitude and flattery. Although the fans of other artists are half a beat slower, when they see Luo Weibing's fans start to brush up, they quickly react. This person was the boss. Their brother, Miss, was the boss of their idol's management company. He controlled the lifeline of their idol's resources. He was the boss who could casually leak a little of his information and it would be enough for their idol to take off. There was no need to say anything, just praise him. Because of everyone's tacit understanding, the screen of the live broadcast room was instantly filled with all kinds of mushy flattery. Su Yiyan's eyes hurt when she saw it. At this moment she suddenly saw a message from the corner of her eye. Her expression changed slightly, and her heart couldn't help but thump. Chapter 11:23. The content of the message was, "Host, can the system you used when you were kidnapped really avoid detection by the scanning equipment? Can it be customized into the style you want? How much is the specific price? When will it be available? Can you pre-order it now? System?" Su Yiyan's expression showed a moment of shock and panic, but she quickly covered it up. She frowned and asked, "What system?" Su Yiyan's question reminded many of the audience, and they followed suit and asked questions about the system. Su Yiyan extracted some key points from the rows of messages and found out that not long after the official announcement, Huo Qinhuan's company made an announcement. They announced that the system Su Yiyan mentioned in the live broadcast was an anti-detection system that their company was researching. This system could avoid detection by various electronic devices. Moreover, this system was small in size and had many variations. Its appearance was very confusing and difficult to detect. It could accurately locate the owner when the wearer was in danger, send a signal to the first contact in the director's contact book, and automatically turn on the audio and video recording function. Su Yiyan read the announcement and her feelings were very complicated. Logically speaking, as soon as this announcement came out, it could be said that it covered up everything that happened during the live broadcast yesterday. It gave a very suitable excuse and also promoted a wave of their own products at the same time. However, the key point was that she knew better than anyone that she did not have the system that they were talking about. For the company's official account to suddenly make such an announcement, it must have been approved by Huo Qinhuan. It was even possible that he was the one who instructed them to do so. For him to do so, could it be that he found out something? If that was the case, why didn't he ask her? Su Yiyan had countless doubts in her heart, but she did not show them on her face. Since it says so, it can definitely be customized. As for the specific time and price, I'll ask my husband when the broadcast ends. It's just that for a product like this, it will take a lot of time to customize it. Su Yiyan was not sure if Huo Qinhuan's company really had a system with similar functions, so she simply gave an ambiguous answer. The audience who inquired did not understand her dilemma. After getting confirmation, they were very excited and said that money was not a problem. As long as the product was good, it was nothing. Most of the people who inquired had some background and were not necessarily Su Yiyan's fans. They had only watched Su Yiyan's live broadcast yesterday and were purely interested in the system. What do rich people care about the most these days? Of course it was fate. But because they were rich, there were many people who wanted them in their families' lives. Although such people would usually be escorted by bodyguards when they went out, who wouldn't want to take care of both to make themselves safer? What was supposed to be a good live broadcast to report their safety suddenly turned into a live broadcast to promote a new product in advance. The die-hard fans in Su Yiyan's livestream were both angry and amused at the same time. Host, do you still remember what kind of livestream we are doing? I don't mind if you want to promote medicinal cuisine, Chinese herbs, or even some of your endorsements. But can you not promote that stinky man's company's products in the livestream? Alright, I admit I'm just jealous of that stinky man who can marry the streamer. Sour into lemon. JPG. Chapter 11:24. Of course he was not the only one who was jealous. Soon, many people agreed with this statement and began to denounce this lucky guy who saved the universe in his previous life and was lucky enough to marry the streamer in this life. Big Brother said what I wanted to say but didn't dare to. Although I knew the streamer was married and had a child, I still felt a shock when I saw her in person. Sob, I feel like my cabbage has been taken away. My heart hurts. Yes, I feel the same way. Although I know the streamer's other half is tall, rich and handsome, I still can't help but be picky. Most of the people who felt this psychological difference were the old viewers of Su Yiyan's live broadcast room. Many of these people were about the same age as Qing Shuqing. When they saw Su Yiyan, who was about the same age as their own child, it was inevitable that they liked other people's children more. They couldn't help but be a little picky when looking at her other half. Their child was so outstanding, how good must this person be to be worthy of her? Of course not everyone thought this way. Early on, after Su Yiyan's identity was exposed, the situation of her and Hua Qinhuan's family was turned upside down. The final conclusion was that although the streamer's husband's relatives were a little weird, the relationship between the two was really sweet. Hey babies, why are you being poisonous? Isn't it good to be a couple? Before, we didn't know the identity of the streamer's other half. Now that we know, I suggest everyone look at the account of the streamer's company's CEO. You can easily find a lot of candy. Haha, although I can understand everyone's feelings, there's really nothing to be picky about the streamer's husband. Not only is he young and handsome, but he's also very rich and capable. The only two shortcomings seem to be that he only has a family of weird relatives, but it's said that they have already separated. They basically don't contact each other and don't even greet each other when they see each other. Also, it seems that he was paralyzed for a while because of a car accident, but he's been cured. I just went to search for his recent photos. Those long legs perfectly match my fantasy of a domineering CEO. That's right. The streamer's boyfriend, not only is he handsome and has a good figure, but he's also capable and has a good background. Many people had seen the drama of the whole corporation changing hands. At that time, many people said that it was a feud between two rich brothers over money and power. After digging up the wealth and background of the tycoon, I just wanted to say to hell with fighting over wealth and power. The moronic media was the cause of death. The host's husband might not even be interested in the whole corporation, okay? Yet, Si Yen and Huanyu are all golden chickens that can lay eggs. Do they need to snatch the whole corporation, a mess that has already begun to decline? F***CK? The host's husband is the boss of fantasy? The fantasy games that developed virtual simulators, intelligent robots, and holographic games? How could the host's boyfriend be an ordinary rich second-generation heir? He's clearly a fighter jet among rich second-generation heirs. This is a rich second-generation heir? He could already be considered a real rich first-generation, right? But speaking of which, onlookers seem to be jointly founded by Yan and Huanyu. If the streamer's husband was really the boss of fantasy media, wouldn't the streamer be the boss's wife? Why did he suddenly feel a little excited? What kind of domineering CEO doting on his wife is this? Su Yiyan saw people discussing her husband on the bullet screen. At first she didn't pay much attention to it until she saw the end. Chapter 11:25. Melon Web was jointly founded by Yan and Huanyu? Weren't these two companies the ones that Gu Xiaoyang and Yu Zian were in charge of? So, the livestream website she was on was actually Hua Qinhuan's private property? Su Yiyan felt that the impact she had received from today's livestream was more than what she had suffered in the past 2 or 3 years since her rebirth. Thinking about it carefully, it seemed that a certain administrator in her livestream room had taken the initiative to come to her not long after she started her livestream. He had even reached the top in one fell swoop and became the only administrator in her livestream room at the fastest speed. Although becoming an administrator required her to be verified as the host of the livestream room, She also needed to accept the basic authentication of the website before she could lock in on the specific details. At that time, Hua Chenhuan had passed the verification so quickly. Su Yiyan had thought that the other party's generosity had captured the heart of the website's reviewer. Now it seemed that it was not money at all. He had directly used his identity as a boss to open a green channel. While Su Yiyan was in a daze for a while, some of Su Yiyan's anti-fans who had realized that Su Yiyan was the website's lady boss, began to revive from the ashes and became restless. I said that she must have a backer. Otherwise, how could she have promoted all kinds of homepages as soon as she started? She even made the livestream room into a one-man show and banned people's accounts at the slightest provocation. We can't afford to offend her. Upstairs, you are really bold. There are some things that you should know in your heart. Be careful not to be remembered by others. They will ban your account in a while. You dare to do it, but you don't allow people to talk about it? She originally relied on her husband to get to the top. Who knows how many people she has stepped on to gain popularity today. Her fans have been boasting that she has many rich fans. Now it seems that these accounts are all her company's own accounts. Money is going from her left pocket to her right pocket. She can even save on marketing. She can also trick some people who don't know the truth to follow the trend and reward her. These capitalist faces are really too ugly. These people were just short of pointing at Su Yiyan's nose and scolding her for relying on her backer to get to the top and oppressing other live streams on the same platform. The jealousy in their sarcastic words could be seen at a glance. Su Yiyan's diehard fans could be said to be experienced in this aspect. How could they tolerate these jealous people being presumptuous in their own territory? They immediately ridiculed them. Oh my, I can smell the jealousy in some people's eyes even from a few kilometers away. Saying that the streamer relied on her husband to get to the top. Forgive me for not feeling any ripples in my heart. I even wanted to laugh a little. Some people, even if they were uncultured, would go online more often. Before you blackmail her, you should check her background and count how many legends she has created since she started broadcasting. Otherwise, you won't know who will be embarrassed. Upstairs, you're still so patient to argue with these people. Now that I see these trolls, I can't even be bothered to look at them. The host is an active topic on the official account of the Research Institute, and even the official account directly praised her several times. Does she need to rely on her husband to get ahead? To put it bluntly, there are millions of internet celebrities in the world, but there's only one person like the host. With the host's strength, she can be popular anywhere. If the platform loses the host, it may not be able to keep people like us. You should first figure out the pros and cons before arguing with us. Otherwise, saying more will only expose your brainlessness and ignorance. Those who say that the host relies on her husband are either blind or brainless. Looking at it from a more recent point of view, the host just escaped from the tiger's mouth yesterday. Today, a certain company is promoting that whatever system. This is a blatant attempt to gain popularity. As long as you are not blind, you can see who is relying on who. Chapter 11:26. TSK, this is a family matter. How can it be called taking advantage of others' popularity? Everyone pay attention. Don't be influenced by the anti-fans and try to sow discord between the host and her husband. As fans, we should love the house and its crow. The host and her husband complement each other. They go hand in hand and help each other. They are a match made in heaven. It's useless for some people to be jealous. Hold it in or get lost. If you dare to say another word, you'll be burned. He watched as the people who had sneaked into the live stream gradually became mixed up with the honest folk, and it became a noisy mess. Su Yiyan didn't want to continue talking to everyone. She simply said a few words and was ready to go offline. Of course, before turning off the live stream, Su Yiyan confirmed the time and content of her next live stream with everyone. This greatly comforted the audience who were originally worried that she might not live stream in the future after this crisis. After turning off the live broadcast, Su Yiyan felt a little lost. Usually, at this time, the system would take the initiative to summarize with her how many favorability points she had gained after this live broadcast. Before Su Yiyan could recover and find Hua Chenhuan to settle the score, the child's miserable cries came from outside the door. Su Yiyan's face changed slightly. She hurriedly got up and rushed outside. As soon as she opened the door, she saw Hua Chenhuan, who was at a loss, and the little guy in his arms, whose face was red from crying. The baby cries as soon as he wakes up. No one can coax him. Su Yiyan knew that the little guy was probably still trapped in yesterday's thrilling experience. She was very distressed and hurriedly took the child from Hua Qinhuan's arms. She whispered, "Baby, be good. Mommy is here. It's okay. We're already home. The bad guys have been beaten away by Mommy and Daddy. The baby is safe. Don't be afraid." Perhaps it was because his mother was by his side that the baby finally felt safe. Perhaps it was because Su Yiyan's words had an effect. The little boy's cries gradually became softer. After about 2 minutes he finally stopped crying. He leaned into Su Yiyan's embrace, his two chubby little hands clutching onto Su Yiyan's collar. He was afraid that his mother would disappear in the blink of an eye. Su Yiyan heaved a sigh of relief when he finally managed to coax the little guy. He raised his head and met Hua Qinhuan's eyes, which were too late to look away. The moment their gazes met, Su Yiyan could see from Hua Qinhuan's face that there was nothing more straightforward than guilt. Su Yiyan raised his eyebrows and said with a faint smile, "I just turned on the live broadcast to tell my fans that I'm safe." "Yeah. Then they told me something interesting." Hua Qinhuan's heart skipped a beat. She braced herself and asked, "What interesting thing?" "I heard that the website I'm streaming on is under your company." "Yes. But I don't remember seeing this website on the list of companies you gave me." Hua Qinhuan was silent for a moment. She hesitated for less than 3 seconds between telling the truth and brushing it off. She decisively chose the former. "Okay, I admit that this website is under my company's name. The person in charge is Xian. The reason why I didn't see this website on the list was because I asked someone to pick it out in advance." "You picked it out?" Su Yiyan pondered for a moment and nodded meaningfully. "So this website is your private stash for yourself?" Hua Qinhuan was shocked by Su Yiyan's description. The corners of her mouth twitched as she said, "No, it's because I want to know more about you through this website. In fact, I've hidden another thing from you. The #1 admin in your live broadcast room is actually—" "I know." Before Hua Qinhuan could finish, Su Yiyan interrupted him first. She smiled and leaned in front of him, calling out softly, "Miss #1 on the list." Chapter 11:27. Hua Qinhuan's entire body shook. He looked at Su Yiyan with shock and indescribable awkwardness. "You know? When did you find out?" "Oh, the first time you took the initiative to find me. That was a long time ago, but at that time, I didn't say who I was." Intuition. Su Yiyan didn't know why she was so sure that the person talking to her was Hua Qinhuan. She just felt that this person was very familiar to her, so familiar that she didn't need to distinguish to be sure of his identity. "At that time there weren't many people in my broadcast room. Although those people seemed to like me very much, I felt that you were different from me. But I always feel that you are different from them. No matter what disguise you wear, as long as you talk to me, I will definitely be able to recognize you. This is my secret skill. I don't need any reason." When Hua Qinhuan heard her say this, he felt both sweet and funny. "You already know who I am, yet you keep calling me Big Sister. I saw that you enjoyed hearing me call you Big Sister, so I thought you liked me calling you that. I'm so considerate and spoil my fans so I can satisfy my fans' little hobby." How could Hua Qinhuan not know that his wife was deliberately teasing him? After holding it in for a while, he could only helplessly sigh. "You." Then he said, "If you like this website, I'll have Xian transfer it to your name in a bit." Originally he kept this website to protect his little disguise. Now that his disguise had been exposed, there was no point in keeping this website. Su Yiyan shook her head and said with a smile, "I'm not so overbearing as to care about my husband's secret stash of money. You should keep this website. You're my VVVIP client, and I'm your website's #1 host. I'll be indebted to Big Boss for protecting me in the future." Hua Qinhuan saw that Su Yiyan really didn't want the website, so she didn't force her. She smiled faintly and said, "Okay, I'll cover you and only you." The two adults sweetly displayed their love for each other. The little guy who was miserably neglected in Su Yiyan's embrace could not take it anymore. He slapped his father's chin with his little fist and called out to attract their attention. Su Yiyan lowered her head and kissed the little guy. Suddenly she seemed to have thought of something and asked with concern, "By the way, how is Xiaoyang? His injuries?" "He's fine. Did you stop the bleeding from his wounds?" "Yes. Time is limited, and Do Channy's men are watching from the side. I can only help him stop the bleeding and wait for help. The doctor who treated him said that you did a good job. If you didn't stop the bleeding, he might not have been able to wait until the ambulance arrived. When you were rescued, he was already awake. He blamed himself for not being able to protect you and the child. It's not his fault. At that time, that group of people had guns in their hands. They even brought such a large number of cars to block us. Xiaoyang is not an impenetrable fortress. How could he stop them? When we have time later, we'll go to the hospital to see him. Okay. Su Yiyan saw that Huo Chenhuan agreed without hesitation. She couldn't help but think of the announcement on the internet. She opened her mouth and wanted to say something but stopped. Huo Chenhuan looked at her and couldn't help but wonder, what's wrong? Su Yiyan pursed her lips and said in a hoarse voice, I saw the announcement your company made. It's about the system. Chapter 11:28. The atmosphere in the room suddenly froze because of Su Yiyan's words. After a moment of stalemate, Huo Chenhuan spoke first. I asked someone to do it. Su Yiyan pursed her lips and hesitated for a moment before asking tentatively, Did you? Huo Chenhuan raised his head and met Su Yiyan's gaze. He reached out to touch her face and said with a faint smile, I've said that you can say whatever you want to say. It doesn't matter if you don't want to say it. It's just like how I hide something from you, but it doesn't mean that I don't love you and you don't love me. On the contrary, sometimes I hide something because I can't say it out loud for various reasons. Everyone has their own secrets. As long as you don't leave me, as long as these concealments don't hurt you, it doesn't matter. Listening to Huo Chenhuan's words, Su Yiyan's uneasy heart settled down little by little. She fixed her eyes on the man in front of her. Obviously, he was not a person who would say sweet words, but every time he said something that touched her heart, she felt particularly at ease and safe. Let's find time in the next 2 days to go to the hospital to see Xiaoyang. Okay. Gu Xiaoyang looked bloody and scary that day. In fact, most of his injuries were superficial, and his internal organs were not hurt. However, no matter how superficial the injuries were, excessive bleeding could endanger his life. For this reason, Su Yiyan specially made a lot of nourishing dishes such as pig's liver and pig's blood. She visited him in the hospital several times with Huo Chenhuan. During his hospitalization, she even asked the restaurant to send him food every day. This made Yu Zian and Zui Yanbai, who had sympathized with him and could only lie on the hospital bed for a while, envious and jealous. They wished they could pull him up and enjoy this blessing in disguise. In addition, the kidnapping incident finally gave a satisfactory result on the 3rd day after Su Yiyan was rescued. Of the 2 groups of people who kidnapped Su Yiyan and her son, the scarred man's group was obviously much more dangerous than Dou Tianyi's bodyguards. Unfortunately, the scarred man and the previous leader had already died in the chaos of the escape. The remaining people were all small fries, and it didn't take long for them to get a lot of information out of them. Zheng Qianyang and the others followed the clues and found the nests of many illegal organizations. They solved many major cases in one fell swoop and caught many accomplices who had participated in the incident back then. They had truly avenged Huo Chenhuan's parents. Huo Qihan could have helped Zheng Qianyang and the others contact these people and atone for his crimes. At least he wouldn't have died. However, because he was too cowardly and wanted to escape at the last minute, even betraying Zheng Qianyang and the others at the critical moment, the scar-faced man and the others saw through him. As a result, although the mastermind died, the scarred man was able to escape with a group of people, and he himself paid the price and died in the chaos. When the details of the case were officially announced, his actions and the death of Huo Chenhuan's parents were deliberately exposed, so that even if he died, he would be nailed on the shelf of shame and be reviled. Dou Tianyi, who cooperated with such dangerous people and tried to smuggle Su Yiyan out, could be convicted of treason to country I. The Dou family's stock price plummeted because of this incident. Dou Tianyi's confidants were basically involved in this incident and couldn't come out in a short time. The company had no backbone to turn the tide, and it didn't take long for it to go bankrupt. Chapter 11:29. As for Dou Tianyi, the mastermind behind all of this, his body rapidly deteriorated after Wen Jingping's death. He stayed in the intensive care unit with a ventilator until New Year's Eve. In the end, he breathed his last with unwillingness and resentment, confirming that he would not live past 30 in the original work. Su Yiyan only found out about this from others a week after Dou Tianyi's death. Her heart did not fluctuate too much. She only lamented that if the system was still around, she would have been notified of such a big thing as the death of the world's male protagonist. How could she have waited until now? After Su Yiyan's identity was exposed, It attracted a little trouble as she had previously feared. Some people with difficult and complicated diseases rushed to her to see a doctor. These people either claimed to be relatives or friends, using all kinds of methods to curry favor with Su Yiyan to treat them. Naturally, Su Yiyan would not agree. If there was a first, there would be a second. Once this started, more and more people would stick to her like leeches. She could not get rid of them. Unable to bear the harassment, Su Yiyan simply moved to the small villa left behind by Chenhuan's parents in Huachenhuan for a period of time to avoid the limelight. It was also at this time that the Research Institute and Yi Qiliang and a group of well-known pharmacologists rushed to express their gratitude for Su Yiyan's free donation. They also confirmed that the Chinese herbs did indeed have the effect of alleviating and even treating some diseases that were difficult to overcome at this stage. In the near future, these herbs would be used to treat diseases in the real world. The audience who watched Su Yiyan's live broadcast realized that Su Yiyan had said in the live broadcast that she had already handed over all the relevant materials to the Research Institute and relevant departments. They would be studied by more professional people so that they could be used in the right fields at the right time. It turned out to be true. Because of this, Su Yiyan's reputation soared. Some people who originally had crooked thoughts did not dare to act rashly. They could only wait patiently for the arrival of that day. The matter with Do Channy and the others came to an end. Su Yiyan and the others' lives finally returned to normal. However, when she occasionally went in and out of the kitchen, Su Yiyan's heart would still feel a little empty. She thought that she was not obvious, but she did not know that all of this fell into Hua Chenhuan's eyes. You don't seem to be in high spirits these days. Are you still upset about what happened before? Su Yiyan did not expect Hua Chenhuan to see through her. She was stunned for a moment before she said in a low voice, "It's not because of that, it's because I have a friend. I have a friend who has helped me a lot." Is a little sad. Friend, Su's? He's as if he remembered, none of these people's is. So this friend? I's right. I's right. S is right. SSS. Days? SSS. I haven't seen Bao Bao play with it for the past 2 days. Yanbai Company's robot system is basically complete. They've brought Yuan back to upgrade it. They should be able to send it back today. Upgrade? Su Yiyan nodded, not fully understanding. She did not think much about it. She just thought that Yuan was brought back to upgrade its defense function. After all, Zui Yanbai and the others had originally designed this robot because of its safety performance. Right at this moment, there was a small commotion outside and there was also the sound of a child crying. Chapter 11:30. Both of them were stunned. They looked at each other and walked out together. As soon as they walked out of the door, they saw their little babies crawling around a familiar little robot with Dun Dun and Silly Boy. Their eyes were full of excitement and curiosity. Usually, at this time, Roly Yuan would take the initiative to pick up the children and lift them up high, but today this little robot seemed to be particularly cold. Su Yiyan glanced suspiciously at this familiar yet strange lump of iron. Zui Yanbai happened to walk in from outside at this time. When he saw Su Yiyan and Silly Boy, his eyes flickered, revealing a faint sense of guilt. "Young master, young madam." Su Yiyan smiled at him. "Thank you for your hard work. Has Roly Yuan finished upgrading?" "Yes, it has. It's just that." Without waiting for Su Yiyan to ask more, Dun Dun had already habitually led his son to Roly Yuan's body, wanting to climb onto Roly Yuan's head as usual. Roly Yuan didn't stop it, but it also didn't help the 2 little fat dogs to lift them up as usual. When Dun Dun finally climbed onto Roly's shoulder with great effort, Roly Poly finally turned its round little head and stared at Dun Dun with its hollow black glass eyes for a while. Then it coldly said in a mechanical voice, "Silly dog." Dun Dun, who was suddenly attacked by its little friend's language, was speechless. Su Yiyan was speechless. Although Hua Chenhuan didn't have much contact with this little robot, Su Yiyan liked the children, so he usually paid more attention to it. At this time he finally realized that something was wrong and looked at Zui Yanbai inquiringly. Zui Yanbai touched his nose awkwardly and laughed. "Well, I don't know what's going on. After the upgrade, the robot seemed to have changed. At first, I thought it had accidentally covered something inside, but after checking it several times with the equipment, I didn't find any abnormalities." Zui Yanbai paused and looked at Su Yiyan carefully. "I brought it here today because I want to ask young madam if you want to find another problem with it to see if it can be corrected, or get another robot here." Hua Chenhuan did not say anything and left the choice to Su Yiyan. When Su Yiyan heard Zui Yanbai's words, his heart couldn't help but skip a beat. He thought of the familiar phrase, stupid dog, and a crazy idea suddenly came to his mind. She walked step by step to the front of the little robot, leaned over and looked directly into its eyes. She asked tentatively, "System?" Who else could it be other than it? There was a hint of pride in its tone. Su Yiyan's eyes lit up. She was both excited and confused. "It's really you? How did you?" "Yin Yin?" Before Su Yiyan could finish, Hua Chenhuan interrupted her. Su Yiyan then remembered that there were still people around. Her hand, which was about to reach out and pat the little metal head, froze in mid-air. Fortunately, Hua Chenhuan did not let her feel awkward for too long. He took the initiative to step forward and hold her outstretched hand. "Let's keep it for now. We'll take a look. You can go back first." Although Zui Yanbai felt that the two of them were acting strangely, he did not ask much. "Oh, okay." As soon as Zui Yanbai left, Hua Chenhuan's gaze fell on the robot. He did not let go of Su Yiyan's hand. "Let's talk inside." Okay. The two of them had something to talk about, so they left the little fellow and Dun Dun in the care of the old butler. Only then did they bring the round skin system into the study. "It's that friend of yours?" Hua Chenhuan's hit the nail on the head surprised Su Yiyan, but she also felt relieved. "You guessed it." "Yes." Su Yiyan finally patted the system's round head. "It's a system." "A system?" "Oh, you can think of it as an intelligent robot. It's a string of data. However, this data is already very close to a human." Hua Chenhuan narrowed his eyes. Although he did not like Su Yiyan being too close to other living things, he would not go so far as to be jealous of a string of data. "Hello, host partner. I am Advanced System 001 from the Advanced Realm. Nice to meet you, please advise me." As the system spoke, its two round little hands suddenly popped and two plastic flowers popped out. "Su Yiyan, Hua Chenhuan, system, our current resources are limited. Sorry to embarrass myself." Hidden meaning: this is not my fault but the robot's outer shell. The robot's designer must take the blame. Su Yiyan was the first to react. She could not help but laugh out loud. The originally serious atmosphere became subtle, and it was not as cold as it was before. The system, who had intended to leave a good impression on the host partner, had failed and shut down on the spot. Seeing this, Hua Chenhuan could not help but laugh. However, he was still concerned about the matter at hand. He coughed lightly and said, What's going on? When did you and it?" Su Yiyan stopped laughing. She stared at Hua Chenhuan for a while as if she had made up her mind. She took a deep breath and said, "What I'm going to say next may seem unbelievable to you, but I swear on my character and my happiness in this life that every word I'm going to say is true." "I believe you." As soon as Su Yiyan finished speaking, Hua Chenhuan said without hesitation, "As long as you say it, I believe you." Su Yiyan was stunned. Her face still looked familiar but her eyes relaxed. Hua Chenhuan was very familiar with the beginning of the incident. Hua Xiaofeng brought his little girlfriend to the family Hua's banquet. He got into an argument with Su Yiyan, who was also invited to the banquet, and pushed her down the stairs. She was injured and hospitalized. However, what happened after that was completely different from what Su Yiyan knew. The Su family forcefully cancelled the engagement between Su Yiyan and Hua Xiaofeng, but did not allow Su Yiyan to marry him. They were like two parallel lines that had never intersected. Until Su Yiyan's death, they had never intersected. Hua Chenhuan was shocked when he heard the first half of the story, but he remained calm. However, when he heard that Su Yiyan had died in a car accident 3 years after her engagement with Hua Xiaofeng was cancelled in his previous life, he felt as if he had never experienced it before. Even though he had not seen it with his own eyes, he still felt that the blood in his body seemed to have cooled down in an instant. It made him subconsciously want to hold Su Yiyan's hand and feel the warmth of her body to confirm that she was still alive. Su Yiyan sensed his emotions. She stopped talking and held his hand to comfort him. "Don't be afraid. It's all in the past." Hua Chenhuan lowered his eyes to hide the gloomy coldness in his eyes. He was afraid that he would scare Su Yiyan. Was it an accident or was it intentional? It was an accident, but it was also intentional. Su Yiyan did not linger on this topic. Instead, she continued, "I didn't lose my consciousness immediately after my death. Instead, I became a soul that no one could see. I saw my parents sad and I also saw you. I realized that you had always liked me." Hua Chenhuan subconsciously tightened his grip on Su Yiyan's hand. He felt that everything was explained. They had never met before, but Su Yiyan suddenly chose to get engaged to him after her engagement with Hu Xiaofeng was cancelled. Moreover, she seemed to know that he would not reject her. It was impossible for him to reject her. After that, I don't know why. Maybe it was because you were too stubborn, or maybe it was for some other reason. My soul floated away with you and stayed by your side for half a year. I watched you try to protect my family for me. You tried to shelter them from the wind and rain, but in the end, you couldn't resist the rules of the world. You couldn't save the dead people's hearts. I watched them leave one by one. I watched you drag those who had hurt me to hell one by one in order to avenge me. But in the end you didn't get redemption. You took the initiative to fall into depravity and followed her. Huo Chenhuan listened to Su Yiyan's story. There was no fluctuation in his heart at all. He only felt sorry for Su Yiyan. Wu Xiaofeng, Wen Jingping, Huo Qihan, Qing Fenglang, and that bullsh** T rule of the world. In order to let those two idiots ascend, they had to step on the people he loved the most. They had to step on those innocent people as stepping stones and carry them up step by step. Such rules were meant to be broken. Su Yiyan told him everything. She closed her eyes and let out a long breath. Then she looked at Huo Chenhuan and asked carefully, "Do you believe me?" Huo Chenhuan kissed her forehead tenderly and pitifully. He said with sincerity and affection, "I believe you." Huo Xiaofeng didn't doubt Su Yiyan's words at all. First, it was because he trusted her. Second, it was because he knew himself well enough. He knew that if the person he had been waiting for died just like that, and the only light was gone, he would really drag everyone to the grave with her. Then he would come down to accompany her in person. "The Chinese herbs you took out before were all given to you by it?" "Yes, they were exchanged. I collected the favorability and faith of others to exchange for these things." "So, you started a live broadcast and became a streamer?" Huo Chenhuan had thought that Su Yiyan started a live broadcast on a whim. She might have wanted to use it to attack Wen Jingping. Now it seemed that he was too narrow-minded. Su Yiyan smiled. "At that time, I was eager to exchange for more herbs and more skills to do what I wanted to do the most. This was the best and fastest way." Huo Chenhuan was stunned for a moment. Then his eyes lit up. "You did it for me?" Su Yiyan held his face and rubbed it. "I want you to get better. I want you to be well and completely belong to me." Huo Chenhuan didn't say anything. He just couldn't help but hug Su Yiyan closer. Su Yiyan leaned on his chest. Her eyes were slightly hot. She whispered, "Thank you. Thank you for believing in me." Huo Chenhuan was silent for a moment. Then he suddenly said in a hoarse voice, "I once had a dream." "What dream?" "I dreamed that you were covered in blood. You were lying there lifelessly with your eyes closed. You were cold all over. I wanted to save you, but I couldn't touch you at all. I could imagine that kind of despair." He could understand it. Su Yiyan's arms around Huo Chenhuan paused for a moment. Then she gradually tightened her arms. "You gave me a new life." She also gave many people in this world a chance to change their fate. The two of them hugged in silence for a while. Huo Chenhuan gradually calmed down. On one hand, he was glad that fate had given him and Su Yiyan a chance to start over. On the other hand, he felt a little uncomfortable. "Did you, like Huo Xiaofeng in your previous life?" Su Yiyan widened her eyes. She didn't expect Huo Chenhuan to ask this question after he recovered. She glared at him, annoyed and amused. "I can't say that I liked him. I just didn't hate him." Although she had been engaged to Huo Xiaofeng for a while, the number of times they had interacted with each other was very limited. During this limited interaction, perhaps Huo Qihan had been eager to get to know her grandfather through her and her mother, so he had given Huo Xiaofeng a lot of advice that had made Huo Xiaofeng's young master temper more or less restrained. In addition, Mrs. Hua and her mother were good friends. She didn't keep her guard up. Her impression of Huo Xiaofeng was neither good nor bad. At most, he was a slightly familiar stranger. In fact, Su Yiyan thought about it later. Even if Wen Jingping hadn't been there, she and Huo Xiaofeng probably wouldn't have gotten married. However, if she hadn't been the trigger, the two families wouldn't have gotten into such an ugly fight. Su Yiyan knew what Huo Chenhuan was jealous about. She raised her head and kissed him. She smiled and said, "Don't worry. Whether it's in my previous life or in this life, you're the only one I've ever loved." Huo Chenhuan looked down at his little wife. At this moment he only felt that her eyes were full of stars. They were so bright that he couldn't take his eyes off them. Seeing that the two of them were about to kiss and hug each other, the system, which had been neglected for a long time, finally couldn't stand it anymore. "Host and partner, Please consciously abide by the regulations for the protection of mental health of robots. Do not perform any restricted scenes in front of the system. Do not perform any restricted scenes in front of the system. Ahem. In the end, Su Yiyan wasn't as thick-skinned as Hua Qinhuan. When she heard this familiar warning, she remembered that there was still an artificial camera in the room. She hurriedly withdrew from Hua Qinhuan's embrace. Her face was slightly red, and she didn't dare to meet the system's dark glass eyes. Hua Qinhuan smiled faintly and went forward to pat the system's round head. He said sincerely, "Thank you for taking care of Yan during this period of time. Thank you for your help." "You're welcome. This is what the system should do." Su Yiyan stood at the side for a while. When the heat on her face subsided, she went forward and asked, "Didn't you leave after the mission was completed that day? Why did you suddenly come back? And you even ran into Yuan's body? Don't tell me you got addicted to swallowing systems and swallowed Yuan's data as well. You're like a turtle dove taking over a magpie's nest, right?" When the system heard her say this, it was furious. The system that swallowed the world's female protagonist that day was purely out of helplessness. Moreover, it was the host's request and not the system's will. The system doesn't have the habit of swallowing other systems. Please stop slandering the system. The original data of this robot was saved by the system in a small area chip. The carrier can be used after rebooting. As for why the system came back, it was because the system used the host's favorability points to exchange for the opportunity to stay in this world. When the system said this, it couldn't help but feel a little wronged. It spent so much effort to exchange for such an opportunity from the main system. Who would have thought that the moment it came back, it was forced to be stuffed with dog food in close proximity and was even attacked by the robot body. It lost to a small robot from a low-level world. It was simply infuriating. My favorability points? Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows. She remembered that the system did ask for her opinion before it left and wanted to take away the remaining favorability points. She agreed at that time, but now that she thought about it, she felt that this matter wasn't so simple. How many of my favorability points did you use for this opportunity? Not much. How much is not much? The system's pair of black eyes started to roll around, obviously feeling guilty. Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows. You're not allowed to lie. But only then did the system report a number hesitantly. The favorability points that the system took away when it left were not even a fraction of this number. Su Yiyan wasn't stupid. How could she not understand? Good for you. I was wondering why you suddenly became so useless. You can't even avoid the signal jamming and send out a message. So it turns out that you purposely led me to start a live broadcast to help you earn favorability points in preparation for your return. You can't bear to part with me? Hua Qinhuan stood at the side and smiled as she watched Su Yiyan knock the system's round head. She didn't mention that Su Yiyan was sad for a while when she thought that this little thing wouldn't be coming back. Su Yiyan finally got the chance to scold the system. After venting her anger for the system repeatedly choking her in her mind, Su Yiyan let out a sigh of relief. The corners of her lips couldn't help but curl up a little. She rubbed the system's round head and said earnestly, "It's fine if you come back. We can't casually take other people's bodies. In a while, I'll ask Yanbai to send over an unactivated little robot as your carrier. Let's return the body to Yuan, okay?" No. Su Yiyan originally thought that the system would be easy to talk to. After being rejected, she was very surprised. What? Do you like the appearance of this robot? Don't worry, I'll ask Yanbai to get you one. I guarantee that it'll be exactly the same as the one you have now. The system was still unwilling to relent. It snorted coldly and turned its back to Su Yiyan, ignoring her. Su Yiyan was stunned for a few seconds before she reacted. The system couldn't be jealous, right? Previously, before it had left, it had shown subtle hostility and jealousy towards Yuan several times. This time, it even directly took over Yuan's body after returning. Not to mention anything else, just that flower flick just now could be called skillful. It was enough to show that it had secretly studied Yuan's skills. The more Su Yiyan thought about it, the more she felt that this was a possibility. Looking at the system that was throwing a little tantrum and refusing to cooperate, she had no choice but to ask Hua Qinhuan for help. Hua Qinhuan received his wife's pitiful little gaze and stepped forward to help her out. Since it's unwilling, then give Yuan another shell. Yuan just so happens to prefer a more feminine robot compared to this one. It can wear those little aprons you gave it. Su Yiyan blinked and was a little curious. Does Yanbai Company have other robots with other appearances? Yes, the appearance is actually similar. It's just that some small details are different. Alright then. Ask Yanbai to send another one over. Okay. The most basic problem was solved. Su Yin's gaze towards the system also changed. She smiled and rubbed the system's round head. Her whole body was filled with a kind and amiable holy light. The system was speechless. It had an ominous feeling. Sure enough, in the next second, Su Yin said, "Although we've known each other for a long time, the body you're using now was after all painstakingly developed by Hua Qinhuan's company. There's a saying that goes, if you eat someone's food, you have to be soft-hearted. You've already taken their experimental results. Aren't you going to take something out in return?" The system was speechless. It had just returned and she was already thinking about how to exploit it. Sure enough, humans were unreliable. They were too cunning. If it had known earlier that it couldn't be saved, it would have regretted, upset, and irritable. However, no matter how regretful the system was, it was destined to be exploited by Su Yiyan for the rest of its life. It couldn't escape. Zui Yanbai had just returned to the company when he received a message from Hua Qinhuan asking him to send another female robot that didn't have a central chip installed. Although Zui Yanbai was puzzled, he didn't ask much. He personally went to the workshop to pick a robot that was about the same size as Roly Poly, but with more colorful paint. It looked more like a girl and sent it to the family Hua. The old butler and the others didn't have much of a reaction to the new robot in the house. They just thought that it was a new product from Hua Qinhuan's company and brought it home to try it out first. On the other hand, the little ones at home were curious about the sudden appearance of a robot that looked similar to Roly Poly but was not quite the same. Most of them were at a loss. Little Xingxing stood on the lawn in the yard and looked at the one on the left, then at the one on the right. It staggered over and circled around the two robots. Its big eyes were full of confusion, as if it didn't understand why there were two robots taking care of it instead of one. Dun was more sensitive. After all, ever since it broke the ice with Roly Poly, the human and dog, that cross-species had become real companions. Now that there was suddenly another robot, Dun really couldn't understand why there was a robot that looked like its companion but wasn't as easy to get along with as before, and a new member that didn't look like its companion but made it feel very close to it. Could it be that its little friend could clone itself? Dun's small dog eyes were filled with great confusion. However, no matter what, this strange combination had gradually integrated into the house. Su Yiyan leaned against the windowsill on the second floor and looked at the scene in the yard. She couldn't help but smile. Then she felt her waist being held, and her whole body fell into a familiar warm embrace. Happy? Yes. In the yard, the system, who was actually a new member, looked cold and didn't really like to talk to the little ones. However, if one looked closely, one would find that its black eyes had never left the little ones. Every time the little ones walked unsteadily and were about to fall, it would silently guard by the side, ready to catch the children at any time. This was originally Roly Poly's job, but now it was snatched away by the system, or it could be said that it was secretly competing with Roly Poly. Little did it know that Roly Poly, who was regarded as an imaginary enemy by the system, didn't have this consciousness at all. It made people feel that it was fun and funny. Su Yiyan looked at this scene with a smile in her eyes. She only felt an indescribable satisfaction. "I'm happy that all of you are here." After that, Su Yiyan broke free from Hua Qinhuan's embrace, turned around and hugged Hua Qinhuan's waist instead. She rubbed against his chest in satisfaction and said in a low voice, "Thank you. Thank you for everything you did for me. You allowed me to start over, save the people I wanted to save, and make up for the many regrets." Hua Qinhuan reached out and touched her head. He looked at the person in his arms with a gentle and indulgent gaze, as if he was looking at his own world. "Thank you too. Thank you for coming to my side without hesitation. You changed my life and also changed our established future." The spring breeze blew, blowing the clusters of proudly blooming blue roses in the greenhouse. The fine petals danced in the wind, drifting past the two of them, bringing with them a burst of floral fragrance. Everything was so peaceful and beautiful. The suffering had ended, and a new life had arrived as promised. And the people they loved were all here. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.